Are we ready? Captions?
Yep.
Everybody's good? I make a motion to open the meeting. Is there a second, please?
Second.
It's a tie.
Aye.
I think so. Yeah, right there.
Okay, trustee Lindback, trustee Wilkes, trustee.
Want to make sure I'm sitting in the right.
Is that you? Yeah, that's you.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay, the meeting is open. Does any board member have any conflict of interest or anything to disclose regarding any of the agenda items this evening?
I do not. I do not. I do not.
I do not. Okay. With that being said, would the clerk please read the open meeting compliance certification or at least give us the highlights?
Okay, the highlights are if you're in the meeting and you wish to speak, please come to the podium, give your name and address. If you're on Zoom, please raise your hand if you wish to ask the question to the board directly. If you wish for me to ask it, please put it in the Q&A. I do not respond to chat. Outside of that, let's have a peaceful, quick meeting.
Emphasis on quick. I knew it. I know.
Otherwise,
Okay, would we all stand please for the Pledge of Allegiance? And I'm asking trustee Lindback to lead us in the pledge this evening.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Okay, first thing, we always have public comment. Is there anyone wishing to speak? Or online too, I guess? Or crickets? Okay. Okay. Next up, we're going to start with the Pittsford Rotary. And Kelly Klein, the president of Rotary. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me at such short notice. I'm here tonight because our Rotary Club for the last 6 months has been indicating an interest in providing a bench to the bus stop that's out here in front of the Little House, where there is no bench.
Right on Monroe Avenue
Right
there.
on
Yeah.
Monroe Avenue. Did they get the photos I sent?
Yes,
them?
thank you so much for sending those.
Perfect. Okay, so as you can see, there were 2 plastic chairs out there. We believe one of them did the demise during the winter, may have gotten, run over or crushed by sidewalk car maybe. Those
No
things
such
happen.
thing.
Those things happen. So the members have expressed an interest in wanting to do something for the community, wanting to give back. And they came up with the idea of purchasing a bench and having a place out there. So in saying that, I've done a lot of research on this. I have made a lot of phone calls, been going back and forth. Because just for background knowledge, it is an RTS bus stop that is on a lease to the New York State DOT. It's on their land.
Mhm.
So first we had to get permission from RTS and we tried to give them the bench. We wanted to give them the bench, donated to them and said, hey, this is for the Pittsford Village, we want this at the bus stop. But RTS came back and said, you are more than welcome to put a bench out there, but we don't want responsibility for it.
Mhm.
So I said, okay. So I went to Department of Transportation and spoke with them. And in order to put a bench out there, you have to have 2 permits. One is a lease, a use permit, and then the other one is a work in the right of way permit, which we're all familiar with those permits.
Not our first rodeo with benches, right?
It was our first rodeo when I was told by New York State that the chances of us getting a use permit was slim to none. They have started to back off from giving not-for-profits use permits. The reason for it is longevity. Especially, with Rotary clubs and that type of thing, that our members are aging out and there's no guarantee that 15, 20 years down the line that.
Yeah, they're thinking about the maintenance.
Right.
Yeah.
Thinking about the maintenance, but also, being responsible for paying for the lease every year and maintaining, if a car was to hit it, we would have to file an insurance claim through Rotary, that type of thing. So what their suggestion to us was to come to the Village of Pittsburgh and see if they would accept a donation of the bench. Village of Pittsburgh would have to apply for the use permit, which they said would be a very simple project because you already have use permits for your benches that are with the right of way. So they would just add this one on, and then a permit would be needed for work in the right of way. given the information I've given you. The only other conditions they have is that the bricks would have to be removed, which they have no problem with that because they don't like the bricks in the first place. They put them in, they are their bricks, so the
Okay.
state has no problem with them coming out, and a pad would have to be poured.
Who would remove the bricks?
That's why I am here, is to see
Okay.
if we can enter into a agreement, a proposal,
Oh,
where we
okay.
would donate the bench to the village.
Yeah.
We would pay for the bench, give it to the village, and then the village would proceed with a use permit, the work in the right of way permit, and installation of the bench.
Understood. I was just thinking because it's their bricks, do they want their bricks back? Just asking, that's all. Okay.
I think we have stockpiled them back.
I know, that's why I sort of asking, wait a minute, this brick thing has happened. Okay.
The state does not.
They don't want the bricks. Okay.
The other, obviously, the other requirements from RTS and the state was, the component or what type of bench it was.
Mhm.
RTS, all they will say is that it has to be a beefy bench, because they want people comfortable and feel, comfortable sitting on it, that it's not gonna fall apart or that type of thing. The state of New York, prefers that it's a metal bench of some type.
Mhm.
And this is because it is in their right of way and is subject to being assaulted by snow plows, pushing the snow back,
Mhm.
and by salt.
Mhm.
So they don't want to be 5-10 years down the line being blamed that, hey, the bench deteriorated because we're plowing snow or we're throwing salt.
Mhm.
So, those are the only criterias. So if the village is willing to entertain the idea of accepting a donation from Rotary of a bench for out there and was willing to, proceed with the installation, I gave you 2 proposals for the benches that we were looking at.
Mhm.
The first one, is the one that has the wood slats that look similar to the current, village benches. The other one is a standard park bench. I believe it's similar to the wooden ones in style and shape, to the ones that are in front of the town hall.
Mhm.
Did get some extra information from the company that we're looking at. And I'm very familiar with this company because we've ordered benches from them before.
Mhm.
So for a quick summary, Keystone Ridge Designs warrants all products against material and workmanship defects for a period of 3 years from the date of shipment with a limited structural warranty of up to 20 years. These benches last a long time. We've actually had one of their benches at the firehouse for more than 20 years. All their benches are designed to be sturdy and durable in an outdoor public environment. Weight capacity has never been an issue with any of their products. Let's see, so the one that looks like the park bench that you currently have, full disclosure, it has a limited warranty on the powder coat finish that is applied to the product. That is what is used to make it look like wood slats. They can, if we wanted to pay more, they would offer, or excuse me, Keystone Designs offers a limited 5-year warranty against structural failure of any of the aluminum framing. That is an aluminum frame situation with that bench. The other one, Keystone Ridge Designs, has a 20-year warranty against structural failure of their steel and offers a 5-year warranty against structural failure. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong paragraph here. Oh, let's see. So that the other one has a 20-year warranty on it, and that is solid steel.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
so that's why I'm here tonight, to see if you may have interest in accepting a bench from Pittsburgh Rotary.
Well, we're bench people. We are. We're pro bench. So really the bottom line is, we accept bench donations. That's part of what we do here in the village, as everybody knows. So this isn't uncommon. And frankly, thank you, Rotary, and you for doing all of this front end work. And I think it's been sorely missing over there to have something for people waiting for the bus,
Yes, I was contacted by the Little House people because they had heard that we were interested in putting a bench, and they wanted to know how soon we could put it in.
Yeah.
Because they said, what happens quite frequently is
On the
people
steps.
waiting for the bench sit on their stairs.
Yeah,
And then a lot of times, especially older people, they see the bus come around the corner, but by the time they get off the stairs and down to the bus stop, it's too late.
yeah, you have to hail the bus down, so, yeah.
Type of situation,
Yeah.
so, and we do know that a lot of people use that bus stop.
Mhm.
We do have a lot of elderly people who
Yeah.
depend on that alternative transportation.
Yeah.
Type of thing, and this would just make it more inviting for them to
Mhm.
be there. you know.
No, I think it's a good thing. So the bottom line is to accept the donation of the bench. And then we would handle the installation, the removal of the bricks, putting in the concrete pad, just running this by our superintendent here.
And getting the permits.
Yeah, getting the permits, which we've, done.
We're accustomed now.
Yeah.
And at this point, we have the option and DOT has approved it. Instead of tearing up or removing all of the pavers,
Mhm.
we can just take cylinders and put them where
Oh.
the feet go. So the pavers can stay in place, but the feet are mounted with concrete cylinders that are about 12 inches by.
And that's something that you, when you apply for your work in the road.
Yeah.
and-
Yeah.
I go through all that with them. I just need cut sheets out, whatever the bench.
Yeah,
is that
whatever.
we- that
Yeah,
you
all
need
the
for me.
We
specific.
can provide you with all that information.
Okay.
So.
Well, great. Any questions from the board for Kelly? I think it's wonderful.
Questions, no comments. I mean, it's amazing. I always felt bad for people who were sitting there. One of the chairs looked like it was going to fall
Tipping,
over and, so to do this is phenomenal.
Do you have a preference on the benches?
I like the
I'm
one,
gonna leave that decision up to you guys.
yeah, why don't we just take a quick look? I mean, personally, I like the one that sort of matches more of the benches around our village.
Yep.
Any thoughts on, yeah, agree,
I agree.
kind of, yeah, we're all,
And do I have to go, because it's not a structure, and it's not a sign, do I have to appear in front of any other boards for approval of the style of the bench or?
I think we're one-stop shopping.
Okay, perfect. This works great.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I have my board meeting tonight and I'm going to explain to them, that you guys are accepting this.
Well, we have to
So you're gonna
make,
vote on it?
we have to make a motion. So is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the presentation as presented by the Rotary with a bench that matches the current benches that we have.
And also the installation
Yes.
by the DPW and ongoing maintenance. Right,
Second,
okay. Roll call, please.
Trustee Wilkes,
aye.
trustee Marshall,
Aye.
trustee Linda,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Aye,
motion passes.
Well, thank you.
thank you.
I will get all the cut sheets to you. I'll let you review it before I order the bench. Okay?
Okay.
They have a 4 to 6 week lead time on these
Okay.
benches, so, but I'd like to have you review it first before I, order it, and then as long as I get your go ahead, I'll go ahead and order the bench.
Okay, yeah, Dorothea?
Just real quick question for Zach. The permits, are they still taking about a year or so to get these approvals?
Yeah,
Okay,
They said that they understand the situation, and because you already have a use permit, they just have to add it, and then adding the, I have the contact name that I spoke to, he said he could expedite. the-
Oh, good.
okay.
Oh, we want that name for all kinds of
Yeah,
expediting.
no, because it's been a year and a half I'm getting these approvals, that's
Yeah.
why I'm.
Yeah,
So they said they could expedite it, so.
Well, that's
because
great.
They already have RTS's permission.
okay,
So RTS has already reached out to the state of New York and they were responding.
okay. The front end work's done. Thanks again, Kelly, very much, and thanks to everybody at Rotary.
Yeah, but just give me your email address and I'll email you. Yeah.
Okay, next up, organizational meeting.
Right.
This is our annual organization script, as it's called. And typically what we do is we go through essentially by category and make the motions. Dorothea, correct me if I'm wrong in certain categories. Okay. So with that, I'll start in. I have,
are there any more public comments?
oh. Oh, you came for public comment.
I did.
Well, real quick. Is that okay with the board? I mean, because, yeah, we had just already had it and started it, but come on up.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, we just for support.
Oh,
So, so thank you for your additional time on public comments. During the recent election, all members.
Name and address, please.
Sorry, name is Andrew Trout and address is 18 East 2 Terrace.
Okay.
During the most recent election, all the candidates spoke openly and honestly about the importance of having transparent, open communication in government. And I was very excited to hear about that. I was also happy to hear that there's a possibility that the Board of Trustees might consider moving their start time to a later time in the day. As you just noticed, I didn't quite make it. And I think that if the Board of Trustees is able to do this, it'll help live with their goal of honest, transparent communication in local government, which is something that we all want to see. While some are fortunate enough to work from home or have work days that end before 5 p.m., my wife and I are not so blessed. In order to make this meeting, I had to leave work early and dodge some traffic, and I still did not make it in time for public comments. Thankfully, the board has agreed to let me speak a little bit more. Typically during the day, 5 p.m., my wife and I are trying to get home, pick up our son from daycare, walk the dog, cook dinner, and juggle the myriad of other tasks that any typical family in the village may encounter. As privileged as my wife and I are made to be here, as privileged as my wife and I may be to have a wonderful work-life balance, again, I still had to leave work early, and I had to miss out on my favorite part of the day, which is my son screaming "Daddy" at maximum volume and running into my arms for a big hug.
Wow.
But I know it's important to come here and talk about the importance of open government. Even with the advances of technology such as Zoom allowing members to participate virtually if they're out of town, the current start time means that many people are missing out on important village business due to the standard professional and family obligations that some might have. A meeting time that's later, perhaps 6 p.m., allows residents to participate both in attending meetings, having the opportunity to speak during public comments, and to see each other in person. One of my favorite moments was actually at the mayor's open forum a little while ago when Trustee David also spoke out about trash and refuse. And I actually found out that one of my neighbors was in fact David, and it's helped me connect with him a little bit more. So these opportunities for neighbors to come together and see each other and hear from each other, I think is a very important thing, valuable. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank you.
so much for coming in. Okay. Okay, so ready? All right, let's start in. Takes a little while. I appoint David Marshall as deputy mayor for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. Okay, and then I make a motion to appoint for the appointments to be approved for the village officers.
Oh, we have to do these individually.
Oh, we do, you're right. As soon as I said it, you're right. Okay, I make a motion to appoint Dorothea Ciccarelli as village clerk treasurer for a 4-year term ending in 2029.
Second.
Roll call.
Wait, I gotta write this down, that's important.
Copious notes.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Lindbeck.
Aye.
Trustee Wills.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye,
Motion passes. Thank you.
okay. You're stuck with us. All right, I make a motion to appoint Alexandria Torres Vaughn as deputy clerk for a 1-year term ending in 2026.
Second.
Trustee Marshall. Trustee Wills.
Aye.
Trustee Lindbeck.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I make a motion to appoint Francine Brokaw as deputy treasurer for a 1-year term ending in 2026.
Second.
I got too many Davids.
Great name.
Trustee Lindbeck.
Aye.
Trustee Wills.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, these are appointments for specialized services for the village for the coming year. I make a motion to appoint Scott Harder as village engineer for a 1-year term ending in 2026.
Second.
Okay. Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Wills.
Aye.
Trustee Lindbeck.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I make a motion to appoint Stephen Robson as village assessor for a 1-year term ending in 2026.
Aye. Second.
Okay. Trustee Lindbeck.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Wills.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I make a motion to appoint Gary Wilkins as village insurance agent for a 1-year term ending in 2026.
Second.
Trustee Wills.
Aye.
Trustee Lindbeck.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, I make a motion to appoint Maggie Nearing as the historic preservation consultant for a 1-year term ending in 2026.
Aye.
Okay.
Second.
Second.
I got you. Trustee Wills. Trustee,
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Lindbeck.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Okay, Miss Mayor Plummer, you gotta go
You
back.
miss.
Bernie down again.
Oh, I miss Bernie. How could I miss Bernie? I'm sorry, Bernie. I make a motion to appoint Bernard Donegan as financial advisor for a 1-year term ending in 2026.
Okay. Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Wills.
Aye.
Trustee Lindbeck.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion.
Moving on to legal representation. I make a motion to appoint Jeffrey Turner as the village board attorney at a rate set per retainer agreement for a 1-year term ending in 2026.
Second.
Okay. Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Lindbeck.
Aye.
Trustee Wilkes,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Aye.
motion passes.
I make a motion to appoint Jeffrey Turner as the Historic Preservation Board Attorney at a rate set per retainer agreement for a one-year term ending in 2026.
Second.
Trustee Wilkes,
Aye.
trustee Limbeck,
Aye.
trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Aye.
motion passes.
I make a motion to appoint the Planning Board and Zoning Board of Appeals Attorney Underberg and Kessler at a rate set per retainer agreement for a one-year term ending in 2026. And just so people understand, it would still be the same attorney, just with a different firm. Mindy Zoglin, yeah.
Second.
Okay, trustee Limbeck,
Aye.
trustee Wilkes,
Aye.
trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Aye.
motion passes.
I make a motion to appoint Timothy McGill as municipal bond attorney for a one-year term ending in 2026.
Second.
Okay, trustee Wilkes,
Aye.
trustee Limbeck,
Aye.
trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Aye.
motion passes.
I make a motion to appoint Hodgson Russ as special counsel for 75 Monroe Avenue at a rate set per retainer agreement for a one-year term ending in 2026.
Second.
Trustee Wilkes,
Aye.
trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Limbeck,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I make a motion to appoint Jeffrey Turner as the village labor attorney at a rate set per retainer agreement for a one-year term ending in 2026.
I'll second.
Okay, trustee Wilkes,
Aye.
trustee Limbeck,
Aye.
trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Moving on to the Historic Preservation Board. I make a motion to appoint Dan Olson as chairman of the Historic Preservation Board for a one-year term ending in 2026, effective at the subsequent June regular meeting.
Second.
Okay, trustee Marshall,
Aye.
trustee Wilkes,
Aye.
trustee Limbeck,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I make a motion to appoint Maria Murillo as a Historic Preservation Board member to fulfill the term ending in 2027, effective at the subsequent June regular meeting.
I'm sorry, correction, that's 2026.
Oh, it is 2026. You're right. It was just the final year. Yeah.
Could I, well, you have a motion, there an appointment on the floor. I just wanted to talk briefly after.
Was there a second on the motion?
No, there is not.
We need a second, please.
Second.
Okay, discussion?
Yes, so I did receive just the terms of office, and I just wanted to structurally ask a couple questions about both these boards, both for the public, but also for us. My understanding is the planning board meetings are all staggered. There's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and 5 years. Is that right?
Correct.
So then, just so that I understand we have a number of holdovers, so the real understanding is who ends next year and then each year they're subsequent. So I'm just looking at the terms and we've got 2 right now that come up for this year with a term end of 25. And then we've got,
Are you talking about PCBA?
yeah, oh, no, I'm sorry, staying on HPV for a second.
Okay.
Yeah, my apologies. So those are 3-year terms.
Correct.
And in the 3-year terms, is it's just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3?
Yeah,
or
they
what
weren't
cap-
staggered. It was how they were formed.
Mhm.
It goes beyond me. So,
That was before you.
yeah, it's well before me. So
Yeah, before she
there's
moved.
2 that come up in this term.
Yeah.
There's 2. Yeah, ideally, and this is my opinion, obviously boards can set them up, the way they want.
Yeah.
But to me, it should be staggered. So you're replacing one every year and you're appointing your chair.
Right,
That's how I've always known it. This board does not function that way. It wasn't set up that way. It doesn't mean the board at any date can't change that. I would assume that would take a code change.
Yeah.
I look at our attorney, thank you, to make that change. But right now, we're just following the path that has been established.
so just to reiterate, with the appointments tonight, Jeff, if we come back in after tonight's appointments, we line all these things up and recognize that there's some changes to the pattern that we'd like to implement for subsequent appointments, then we would just do it subsequently. We wouldn't have to necessarily do it tonight in advance of the appointments.
Correct, except that appointment, excuse me. You make an appointment running through 2028, that will remain in effect,
Yes,
and then you can stagger any way you want
Thereafter?
after that.
So what it
When those
was,
terms end, then
so what it was, is we're looking at the different appointments tonight. The dates that are in the motion here are in fact for the Historic Preservation Board, creating one ending in 27, and then two ending in 28, and then one in 29. If we wanted to, as we go forward, we wanted, we want, like, however, maybe we can structure that later. This doesn't necessarily
Mhm.
interrupt that ability at all. Okay, just wanted to confirm that and have understanding.
Okay,
Ready for vote? Trustee Linda,
Aye.
trustee Wells,
Aye.
trustee Marshall,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
okay. Motion to appoint Dan Olson as an Historic Preservation Board member for a 3-year term ending in 2028, effective at the subsequent June regular meeting.
Second.
Okay, trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Linda,
Aye.
trustee Wells,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, motion to appoint Chris Dabrowski as a Historic Preservation Board member for a 3-year term ending in 2028, effective at the subsequent June regular meeting.
Second.
Okay, trustee Wells,
Aye.
trustee Linda,
Aye.
trustee Marshall,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, we have a few people that are we're going to be receiving resumes for the open slot, so I'm hoping to bring back an additional appointment at the next meeting. Okay, moving on to the Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals. I make,
So
Yep.
I have some questions.
Sure.
About the PZBA,
Mhm.
but
okay,
should I have those after?
no, that's fine,
Okay,
sure.
so I'm just trying to figure out here where, a similar question kind of to the timing that you had.
Mhm.
I'm trying to figure out where these line up, and I'm only asking that because I know for myself, when I was on the PZBA, I was taking over someone's.
Finishing out a
Finishing
term,
out a
we're
term.
finishing out a term, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's not, so I just received this from Dorothea, which is sort of the understanding of, like, if we were to take somebody in each of these years and mark them, right? Where do they go? And so I think what we're seeing is Joanne to 2026.
Mhm.
Okay,
And then we have an alternate, the alternates are a little different.
Mhm.
But then in 26 too, is that Brett, is that what I'm seeing? What's Brett's term that was on the
Brett was finishing out a term for an alternate.
28? So this is fulfilling a term ending in 28.
Well, Brett's
But-
moving up to fulfill.
Yeah, but Brett's part
Oh,
of it.
that's-
so he's an
vacant.
okay,
So then, yeah, so Brett would slide here, right? So then, sorry, we're doing a couple things on the fly here. The 27, there's no term that I see that's ending in 27.
Correct, and that could be, the problem with multiple appointments or changes, we need to go, we'll correct.
Okay.
We can always appoint to correct a stagger.
Mhm.
so so I'm seeing Susan, Justin. And Jared, well, Jared his term ended in 2024.
He wasn't reappointed last year. He was
It
held.
was a
Yes.
holdover.
He was held, oh, okay.
Holdover.
Yeah, the highlighted ones are holdovers. The yellow ones are terms ending,
Terms, okay, gotcha.
Right.
So Susan and Justin.
right?
And I think that's a problem that goes back to a change in the whole board way back when.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
Yeah, so that
okay.
was
Yeah,
like 9 years
because they
ago.
were kind of appointed.
Yeah.
Almost
So
simultaneously.
one of the things that I just wanted to confirm is that when we're looking at the appointments today, that Jared would go to 29, so coming back to this, so Jared goes to here, right? And then you've got Susan to 30, so Susan,
Yeah, and that's actually on your org sheet.
yeah,
too.
that's right, I'm
Yep.
just filling in a quick
Mhm.
chart, and then Brett to 28. So what that leaves open is a slot to 27.
And technically, you could use Susan to 20, your next year, or whoever you appoint. You still have an open.
We still have a vacancy
You have a
that
vacancy.
they were out of town, so they couldn't get us
So
the
that would be
information.
the
So,
appointment for that one.
and
to
hopefully-
fill that term.
yes, so we would have that year, up to that year. Is that what I'm?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, given the vacancy, do the current members stay until that vacancy is filled,
That member is gone.
that member's
Mhm.
gone. and-
We have a quorum on this board.
Right, so then.
We,
you
we can
let-
conduct business for the village.
Right, so
Mhm.
then you have the quorum with Joanne, Brett, Jared, and Susan,
And also with Mike Reynolds.
with Mike Reynolds as the alternate.
Mhm.
Okay,
Oh,
right,
so
so then this is that.
So what is happening to Justin?
His term has ended.
His term ends and essentially, so. So Susan's term ends and Justin's term
Mm-hmm,
ends,
mm-hmm.
but you're essentially having Susan's term renewed over Justin's,
Mm-hmm.
and then Susan's term is vacant. Essentially,
What? I'm not even following what
No.
you just said.
so Susan and Justin both have terms ending this year.
Yes,
Susan's reappointment goes for
five
5 years.
years, yes.
But hers is essentially into Justin's spot, Justin, and then Susan's prior spot is essentially.
This is the way I look at it for boards,
Yeah.
and I think it might be helpful, is that they become vacancies on a board as opposed to X replaces Y. These are open seats now on the board
Mhm.
that the mayor looks at to reappoint
Bill,
or not,
yep,
depending.
right.
Yeah, so they're vacancies on the board.
So there's currently one vacancy on the piece.
Yeah, right now, there's just still one more vacancy, and as I've said, and I've spoken with each of you separately.
Yep.
That because of the holiday and because of spring break, some people couldn't get information in who are interested. So I wasn't prepared to fill that slot this evening because we didn't have the information to share with all of you.
Yeah,
So we have, again, we have enough to conduct business with both boards moving forward, and hopefully by the next meeting, which I think will happen, we'll have another recommendation from this mayor to appoint someone.
how,
Yeah.
so as we think about that, I think all this
Mhm.
makes sense right now. So given what I was just looking at here, there's effectively a 2030 slot that's open, but in the pattern of going a new member every year,
It should be,
it should actually fall into 27.
Yeah,
So is it reasonable to have that term be a 2-year term and make a motion to correct the vacancy
yes,
to be a 2-year term?
yes,
But that's a code change, isn't it?
no.
If that
correcting
part's
the
not,
stagger.
that's correcting only the stagger, so it's just
correcting
more,
the stagger.
okay.
Something like Correcting the stagger.
okay,
We're pointing to fill the term that was vacated.
so that's an
So that-
accurate reflection of, okay, just so we're clear.
that's what was confusing.
Yeah, that's what
Okay,
happened.
okay,
So
okay.
one of the questions to the
Mhm.
mayor would be,
Mhm.
on the next appointment,
Mhm.
would you just simply appoint for a 2-year term?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think-
And then that corrects it all.
Yeah.
Okay,
We can do that.
all right. Then,
Do we have to reappoint Mike Reynolds as an alternate?
No, he's still serving.
One more year.
Yeah, he has one more year. Yeah, his term's still. That's why he's not on
Yeah. That was where. I
Yeah,
confused.
okay,
Is
good.
that,
All right, I think everybody's on board, so now we're at the start. Sorry, Mayor.
Okay, so you have the action item.
Yes, the next appointment corrects the stagger.
Wow, I never thought we'd use that term, correct a stagger. I just,
Believe it or not, I've had to correct it before.
okay.
so.
Made me think of Thirsties. I don't know what, yeah.
I like that. So I just want to put that out there for the record. I do think us losing Justin
Mhm.
is, I mean, me personally being on the, I think he has a wealth of knowledge. I think it is good for us to do those rotations or even chairperson, et cetera, but I think the potential for that 2 years spot. One with his first pagoda and base to death,
Mhm.
but he can ins and outs.
Mhm.
I personally think that might be a nice slot for Justin to be able to help kind of stay on,
Mhm.
you know, kind of help the board kind of move on to that next stage and kind of go from there. He's been a good wealth of knowledge for me as I was on the PZBA, so I just wanted to getting that out there.
Thank you. Thanks for your input on that. I would say that the person that, I'm speaking with is a professional engineer and has worked on numbers of buildings and understands plans and could move right in. So I'm just waiting to hear back, that's all. But I appreciate your input and I certainly respect Justin's work on behalf of the community as well. And as I said, we had a conversation earlier today, finally, which was nice. So certainly feel that you've definitely had a good run, but I do want to say, we have knowledgeable people on this board, and we also have additional people in our community that do want to step up to serve. And I've always felt that it's important to sort of rotate people and get, other residents who are interested in serving, stepping up as well. So it doesn't mean you can't always circle back at some point, but I've always felt pretty strongly about that. So I appreciate your input and I agree with all of your good thoughts there. Okay, any other, we've got the stagger sorted, okay.
Stagger, correct.
Okay, I make a motion to appoint Jared Cook as chairman of the Planning Board and Zoning Board of Appeals for a one-year term ending in 2026, effective at the subsequent June regular meeting. Okay, roll call please.
Trustee Linda,
Aye.
trustee Wells,
Aye.
trustee Marshall,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Aye.
motion passes.
Make a motion to appoint Jared Cook as a Planning Board and Zoning Board of Appeals member fulfilling a term ending in 2029, effective at the subsequent June regular meeting.
Second.
Okay, we have a second.
Okay, trustee Wells,
Aye.
trustee Linda,
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I make a motion to appoint Susan Loda as a Planning Board and Zoning Board of Appeals member for a 5-year term ending in 2030, effective at the subsequent June regular meeting.
Second.
Okay, trustee Wells.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Linda,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I also would like to make note for the record, again, about Susan Loda's expertise. She chaired, I think, 25 meetings or more for 75 Monroe. And ran those beautifully, and that was one of the biggest projects to ever come into the village, aside from the Erie Canal. I make a motion to appoint Brett Pagoda as the Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals member fulfilling a term ending in 2028, effective at the subsequent June regular meeting.
Second.
Okay, trustee Wells.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Linda,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay,
Now we can do.
now we get to do the big categories, yeah. This will save us some time. Next up is the wage compensation schedule for 2025, 2026. I make a motion to have the wage compensation schedule for 2025 to 2026 approved
Second.
as presented.
Discussion.
Yeah,
I just wanted to say, Mayor, I know you put in a lot of time and it's not for the compensation, you do this and we appreciate it.
Seriously. I was thinking the exact same thing. Thank you for taking the time.
yeah,
For anybody who runs. for
living the
office,
dream.
And for anybody who is on. Everybody spends and the community committed as volunteers, but obviously we're paid and compensated, but still nonetheless, it's a lot of work. And so we appreciate everybody.
We appreciate everybody's work.
Yeah.
Takes a village to run a village. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Thank you for that,
Okay.
David.
Trustee Wells.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Linda,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, next up are the liaison positions for 2025, 2026. Do I have to go through each of these?
No.
Should I? Because we've already discussed these. Should I? Okay, so is there a motion to approve, please, the liaison positions for 2025, 2026? As presented.
I'll make the motion.
Okay,
Second. Oh, is this mayor appointment as it says at the top, so it's just 1 second, your appointment, or,
I'm sorry.
what do we,
sorry, at the top says mayor appointment.
you
and I think
approve
I
the
just-
appointments, right? Don't they approve?
Yeah,
Yeah, you still approve this.
Yeah, we
But
approved it
we
last
don't-
time.
John doesn't make the motion and I second, the mayor makes the appointment and then there's 1 second, right?
Oh,
Yeah, I think.
let's do that.
Probably this
Yeah.
one.
Let's be.
Following you.
Thank you, Mr. Rules and Regs. Okay.
You know, this. we've got a
Okay,
good
I make
mayor
a
up here.
motion for the board to accept the appointments for the liaison positions for 25 and 26.
I'll second.
Okay,
I wish I let John second.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I know.
There'll be more to second along the way, I
I think a
promise.
second, I don't know. Okay,
Trustee Marshall,
Aye.
trustee Linda,
Aye.
trustee Rose.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
hi,
motion passes.
okay, we're cruising now. Excuse me, I make a motion to approve the tax rate, the sewer rent, and the refuse district rates for 2025-26.
Second.
Huh?
Do they have to approve the budget for reference district?
This is anticipation of
the
the-
rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can always amend the organization.
Okay.
Trustee Marshall,
Aye.
trustee Wills,
Aye.
trustee Limbeck,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, so again, we can always amend anything, you know, based on, we're making approval now, but we can always go back and amend. Okay, I make a motion for the approval of the official meeting schedule for 25-26.
Second.
Okay, trustee Limbeck,
Aye.
trustee Wills,
We can always amend it.
I'm going to speak to this later, but.
Yeah, well, that's where we're going. Okay,
trustee Marshall. Mayor Plummer,
aye.
motion passes.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the hiring process and employee training for 25-26.
Second.
Okay, trustee Limbeck,
Aye.
trustee Marshall,
Aye.
trustee Wills,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye. Okay, I make a motion to approve the official newspaper and bank for 25-26. The newspaper being Mendon, Honeyway Falls, Lima, Sentinel. And the bank is Canandaigua National Bank and Trust Company.
Second.
Okay, trustee Wills,
Aye.
trustee Limbeck,
Aye.
trustee Marshall,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Aye.
motion passes.
Okay, next up, bonding and check signatures, and there's an amendment to this, am I correct?
Correct, you were looking to make an amendment.
Yeah. Just underneath the payroll checks at the very bottom, I just want to make note for the board. The payroll checks are to be signed by one of the following: the mayor, deputy mayor, or designated trustee, treasurer, deputy treasurer, or village clerk. Just gives us more flexibility.
And it's the same for the regular checks.
Oh, and the same for, yes, for the account checks as well.
Under what circumstance would it be the designated trustee? Just if both of you are.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be the deputy mayor. It could just be we designated trustee. We start that.
Gotcha.
Just because schedules, we know, that's where we're going. It's just
Okay.
schedules for people. It's an administrative kind of thing, so,
It doesn't have, you don't have to do that. but
right.
It has been the practice of the village to have a trustee looking at stuff as it goes out.
Another set of eyes. It's basically another set of eyes,
Okay.
really,
That makes sense.
which I think is helpful, because we're
Okay.
small.
The only checks that go out with one signature are payroll.
Yeah,
Okay. Outside of that, any check to a vendor is a staff member and a board.
mhm. Yeah, there's always the oversight of two people, yeah. And then we can't sign our own checks, that type of thing, yeah.
The designated trustee is at the time for that particular item, or is it a persistent?
No, it would just be designated. But in other words, it would be,
Like, I don't know how you designate.
Like you have
Well,
one.
you'd have to
A
make a
check
motion to designate, so if you
Yeah.
want another person
Okay.
as a check signer.
in other words, I'm gonna be making David liaison to the treasurer. It may make sense to have him as a designated trustee, because he's working directly with our treasurer.
Right.
That's, you know,
So around designated later, but have the person to do today.
Mhm,
Correct.
mhm, yeah,
See? We're good.
okay.
Just trying to cover all circumstances.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve signatures for 2025-26 as amended?
So,
Okay,
Second.
next. Uh, okay.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, next up, I make a motion to approve the fee schedule for 2025-2026 as presented to the board.
Again, vote with discussion if I could.
Okay, do we have a second? Back to the board, please.
Steve, is there anything besides that which was highlighted that is uniquely different from last year?
Pardon?
Is there anything aside from that which was highlighted that is different from last year?
No, I think the only thing, I believe the only thing we changed is the planning board initial application fee, because we gotta cover postage.
Oh, I forgot to highlight that. That's me. The zoning fee, board application went from 150 to 200.
Mhm.
Okay,
Because the board,
It's about recouping our costs, nothing more than that.
And that's in line with other municipalities.
Yeah, you took a look at what everybody else was doing, so thank you for that. Appreciate that.
then we added three other things, the rental property. Fee,
Mhm.
Windows application for it's required, you can add a fee, that's why we did that. And then the LWRP notification, is new, right? We didn't have one. The LWRP notification, we had an LWRP.
no, that's
application.
new
It's rare.
because it's more expensive, it's additional work, and again, it's the postage.
It's recovering a cost.
It's the
Yeah.
discussion we've had with the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's not so much a profit center, it's really just cost recovery, pretty much to try to just offset a little bit administratively.
Minimum post is about $35 for an application, can be up to 67 bucks.
Depending, so
Perimeter.
recovering it.
Okay,
Any further discussion from the board? We have a motion and second. Roll call.
Okay, trustee Wilkes.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall. Trustee Linda.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, let's see, next up. Can I do the whole section, right?
Yep, it's the parking fee.
I don't have that in here.
Did you grab it? Did you?
Did I miss the parking fee?
yeah,
Sorry.
the last page.
Oh, I missed, I put it in the wrong section. Okay. Yep, motion, yep, go
I'll make a
ahead.
motion to approve the parking fee schedule as presented
For 25-26.
for 25-26.
Second.
Can I just make a real quick comment
Yeah.
to the board? We've been working with our parking monitor, Mikey, I don't know if everybody's met him, if you get a chance, he's great. We have a conversation with,
Yeah.
he's done a lot of research on fees and our parking. We're really off and we need to make some adjustments and I know there's some possible changes and we're gonna be bringing it back. It was a lot of information to go through.
Mhm.
So I anticipate in the next month or so, we're gonna be bringing it to you. It'll require changing the parking tickets and everything else, so.
Really off in which direction?
Too low.
Too low.
Too low.
Okay. Looking at these, I was like, oh, these are nice parking.
Yeah.
We don't want it to make it cheap to park.
Well, but look at, Mikey really did some very diligent research. We're gonna just sort of review it internally and then bring it back on the agenda for the board, so we can really take a look at it. And I think,
Yeah, we want to vet it.
it's been a long time, actually, and he really took the initiative to do this, so we
I think
thank him
these-
for that.
These go back past people, right? even started.
But for now, we have fees that we can at least use for now,
The fee to
so.
park illegally is less than the fee to park overnight in most municipalities.
We rest our
Legally.
case. I know,
Right.
I know. Okay, no, thank you for bringing that back up. Okay.
All right. Okay. Trustee Lindback,
Aye.
trustee Wilkes,
Aye.
trustee Marshall,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Hi.
Motion passed.
Okay. Next up, the 2025-26 resolutions. There are a motion to approve all the resolutions. These are sort of basic things, our mileage, attending conferences, things like, basic licenses.
Make a motion to approve the resolutions as presented for 25-26.
Second.
Okay,
Discussion.
discussion, yeah.
Page 14 down at the bottom.
Let me see.
I don't know how you want to resolve that one. The last paragraph, now therefore be it resolved. It's under electrical inspectors and talks about inspectors and haulers in the same.
It'll
Oh,
be changed to inspector.
Okay.
okay, so delete as
Yeah.
amended,
That's it.
the motion as amended,
We'll fix it.
okay.
These things get wild.
Any further discussion? Is there a vote, please?
Okay, trustee Marshall,
Aye.
trustee Lundeck,
Aye.
trustee Wilkes,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay, next up, I make a motion to adopt the procurement and building use policy for 2025-26.
It's identical last year,
Yeah, Yeah.
right?
Well, actually, it reflects the changes from last year.
that's right. We had a
Intra-year.
few changes.
Yeah, intra-year, we moved up the estimated.
That's right.
amount of the purchase
Yeah.
contracts.
Good
to
call.
allow, Right.
Hmm.
Okay, thank you. Make a motion to approve as presented.
There's a second.
Wait,
Well, I think you already made a motion.
Mayor made.
I made the motion. Yeah, I did.
Dave,
Hey, I made that motion, Dave.
Nothing else?
Okay. he's gonna second.
You guys are testing.
You're harsh in my mouth.
Trustee Lundeck,
Aye.
trustee Wilkes,
Aye.
trustee Marshall,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Oh, we'll get through this.
Motion passes.
Okay.
And I think that is it for 25, 26.
Okay. Meanwhile. Get back to the agenda. Thanks, everybody. Okay. Next up. Oh, this is out of order for me. Hang on.
But it's the refuse budget.
Yeah, but it's not six. Do we,
Wait, this is continuation.
it's just a continuation, so we don't have to, it doesn't, did you say six? I think it was,
I
so,
was
Wait,
assuming we said 6 o'clock.
I can wait on.
Is it okay if I ask a general question about the refuse district?
You can.
So I don't know who would be best to answer this, but I had a couple of residents reach out that had asked, given the acquisition, was there going to be a change to, for those of us, including myself, purchase the full year of SAREC service? And the time when your service will end is either right before June 1st or sometime after. Do you, if it's before June 1st and you're in the middle of your renewal right now,
Mhm.
do you still do it? And then you have to call SAREC, or do you call Casella?
I would call SAREC.
yeah, SAREC, and I think that's how it was left at the last meeting with a representative from SAREC who said, please contact directly. And then they can prorate or do what they need to do
So that was,
for the transition. It can't go through us at this point.
No.
It has to go through the hauler you are working with.
and so with the acquisition, do we know when it is closed? Has it already closed? Because effectively, if SAREC still are we still calling?
You're still
SAREC?
calling
Do they
Oh, yeah, you still
hear-
call SAREC. No,
Yeah,
they're
SAREC's intact.
Okay,
They're
Yes,
still
I see where
SAREC.
you're
I think
going.
it was like 3 months before the transfer.
And we'll
Okay.
put that out again in a bulletin next week, because we just received, I guess, additional information from SAREC.
Yes.
So we're gonna be putting out in a bulletin, and then a letter's gonna go again to every single household about if you have SAREC, this is the transition,
okay.
you know, nothing's really changing, you know, that kind of thing, so,
So
yeah.
A couple
No,
of
it's a good
people were
question.
worried, they were like, well, do I call Casella now, or do I?
No, if it's with SAREC, you're gonna call
Call
SAREC.
SAREC, okay.
Yeah,
And then do they change the totes at all, or is it going to be the same size?
all that information's been distributed. It is a standard tote that we have negotiated, and any resident can upgrade their tote or add additionals.
But it's not changing. The original,
No, I don't
All
believe it is. I
units
think
that
it's just the
SAREC.
standard
No,
tote.
it'd be everything that was in the bid is staying in the
It's
bid.
still-
Nothing is changing.
okay.
Now, one thing is
One of
changing.
the reasons why we held it over is to make sure everything would stay the same and how we wanted to handle everything. My understanding, we're gonna put out a letter and it's
Mhm.
gonna mimic the letter that's coming out of SAREC,
Mhm.
once it's correct. In the next week, or I'm gonna say next, I'm
Mhm.
hoping.
Yeah,
next
yeah.
week,
Okay.
To get, and my understanding, they're sending it out too. And
Yeah.
I heard from the
Oh.
representative today from SAREC, because we wanna see their letter to make sure.
You wanna match.
everybody-
Mhm.
Okay, so it is coming, and I'm sorry, we had a couple comments that popped in. And I
Okay.
was busy with the org and I wasn't paying attention, so. Peggy Caraveras asked if the board would read out the liaison positions for the public to understand. I can email
We
that.
can, and we can
it.
post
It'll
them,
be
they'll be
posted.
posted. Yeah,
Yeah. Matter of fact, they are posted
They're already
in the
posted?
packet.
they're already in the packet. They
Yeah.
can go online right now and look at everything.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay. And this is budget question, which isn't in the
Okay.
agenda, I'll respond to this person.
Okay.
If I may, just with regards to Peggy's question. In the past, when you went on the homepage, there was a calendar, and in that calendar, there were links to the meetings. That calendar doesn't have links right now. It's completely devoid.
It was working on my computer.
But
too.
if you go into the, under the about, there is a meetings calendar that then if you click on, that calendar does feed all the items. So the homepage calendar isn't getting fed from the meetings calendar.
So let's reach out.
And I'm not sure why.
All that is effectively whatever that calendar backup
Yep.
is, they're linking to the wrong one, but
Correct.
that should be a click.
Well, that's solvable. And just so you all know, we put up a brand new website last Thursday.
Yeah, it went up Thursday,
So, you know, a little tweaking here.
Yep.
it's-
Yeah, but thanks for, you know.
Yeah, we
catching
found
it.
out, it was. great.
So if
Little
Peggy-
tweaking.
Yeah, if Peggy happens to go into the meetings calendar on the second, like she's got to go into the about and then meetings calendar, she'll be able to find that list.
Well, on that point, the website looks very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very nice. and
Yeah, the staff did a lot of good work on it, really.
modern and-
Yeah, Alexandra put in a lot of time with the,
And we still have, you know, we're gonna be populating with a lot of additional information, a lot of additional links. It's just, it went up right, obviously, during a holiday, so,
Like the weather updates.
yeah, sure,
I don't know.
yeah. It's always sunny in the village. Okay. All righty. Well, it's not six. You know what? Why don't we look at the letter of intent for the purchase of the dump truck? Okay, we can knock that. So let's switch to that. That was already, that was brought to the board. This is what you had spoken about with the board at the last meeting. Did we get the letter? of intent?
yes, you did. It came
Oh,
out
I
yesterday.
skipped it. Okay, sorry, I skipped
It's
it.
way in.
There's
Yep.
nothing- there's two separate-
Yeah, there's two separate letters. Because there's two things,
Was this
so they're different.
like a,
We need to vote on that.
okay.
Board on.
There it is.
Oh,
Oh, there we
there's
go.
need this price letter.
Zach
Oh,
made.
God, you're here. What was that?
I was just asking procedure. We had
Yeah.
a resolution.
You know, who doesn't want a big, dump truck? It's a.
Yeah, I think that the motion is to authorize me to sign this,
Yeah.
is what it would be.
Make a motion authorize the mayor to sign the letter of intent
For both trucks.
for. If I can do both trucks, I would say.
They're both in the letter of intent.
Yeah, so
Why not?
to sign both letters of intent for the purchase of both dump trucks.
I'll second.
It's a twofer.
All right, trustee Lindback,
Aye.
trustee Wills,
Aye.
trustee Mumble,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Hi.
Motion passes.
Okay, we have a couple minutes and we're on a roll. How about, let's take a look at the bid for the village hall. The bid docs that, are in the packet for the village hall for the front porch restoration. Our thanks to Bureau for facilitating this for us and helping us put this together.
Is there any questions? The funding for this is coming from the grant. This
Yep.
is taking care of the pillars, the railings. Railings, the board approved separate payment, and then they'll be installed. It's also taking care of the front balconets, the, concrete,
Yeah, concrete slabs.
yeah. And
Yeah,
there's some painting involved as well,
Yeah,
so
touch
it'll be refreshed in the front and hopefully good for another.
and we were just saying today that when the porch is finally restored with all of the beautiful wrought iron and the pillars, and we've had the doors restored already, we think we should have a ribbon cutting again for Village Hall. It's kind of gussied up.
It's come through a lot in the last couple of
You
years.
need a motion.
Sure.
Yes, I need a motion to approve the going out to bid. Obviously, any bids will be brought to the board for approval.
I'll make a motion to authorize the release of the bids for the front porch restoration.
Second.
Okay, trustee Wills,
Aye.
trustee Marshall,
Aye.
trustee Limbeck,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Hi.
We got a minute.
Oh, we still have a minute. Well, tip talk, okay,
I like this efficiency.
I know, we're just trying to, keep the cruise ship going. Well, we're almost there.
We're there.
Have to start.
We're there.
Oh,
Oh,
pardon me?
We're there.
So you didn't have to start, I mean, you can start later at 6 if you count yourself into it,
That's true,
but you're at 6, so.
We're 6.
we're at 6. Oh,
Mhm.
okay. The reason why we have continued this public hearing for the reference district budget was, as many of you know, and if anybody's online, Sayrook was acquired by Casella. Subsequently, we had meetings with both representatives from Sayrook and Casella. They have assured us that the contract remains completely in effect. There are no changes. There will be no changes for any of our residents in terms of what was negotiated. And so we, at this point, would like to reopen the hearing if anybody wishes to speak. If there's a motion.
Make a motion to. Budget.
Second.
Okay.
Okay, trustee Wilkes.
Aye.
Trustee Limbeck.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Hi. Okay, the public hearing is now open on this matter of the refuse district budget. And we thank Dorothea for the pie chart, literally.
It's the only time I'm ever gonna.
I know. She loves the pie. She loves the whole pie. Okay.
It took me about 15 to 20 seconds. I stared at them like, why is there a pie in there? What is this?
I audibly groaned, the dad joke. Yes.
Yeah, well, there's that.
And then I'm like, wait, and Holly was.
Okay, is there anyone wishing to speak or anyone online wishing to make a comment? We're losing it totally.
No.
Okay, all right. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Make a motion to close the public hearing for the refuse station.
Much is back to the board now. Is there any additional discussion on the matter?
We didn't close them. We didn't need.
Oh, we have the roll
We have
call.
to finish it.
You know,
I'll
I'm telling
second.
you, keep an eye on me tonight.
You guys are cracking me up.
Oh, we're a lot of fun.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Wilkes.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. Now it's back to the board.
The only comment that I have is, I've conferred with Jeff that we're still looking into whether or not those who never had service must be part of the refuse district, if there's a way to consider otherwise, but still looking into that. So at this point, the answer is every resident is a member.
Yeah, at this point, exactly the way,
Unless it's a large multifamily.
right.
Resident.
And understand it's only residents, it's not commercials, yeah.
My instinct is to say, people who have never had service and don't want to have service. Probably been opt out unless it's on a per household basis. That's how Sarah's building us and provides.
We provide the list.
So I'll wait for the official
Yeah.
determination, once he puts that in writing of some sort or another.
My only concern, and I respect the attorney's time and when you're gonna do it, but the timing to get this on the tax
Mhm.
bills, get this all resolved, and then make a determination for the household. It's gonna make it very, very difficult to make any changes this year.
So maybe we get it up and running and then maybe we could just, where are we going?
Because,
You can
right,
get it up and running and you always do
That idea.
for the taxes, right? Or could you?
once it's on a tax bill, I'd have to do a separate refund from the tax bill. They'd have to pay the tax bill.
Right, yeah, but then we could do it.
Yeah, and then
If the board decided to.
also my understanding, and Steve, maybe you can help us with this, isn't there a section in the code where as a resident, you're required to have a trash hauler, you can't,
Supposed to have trash, you're supposed to have,
a service?
you're supposed to take care of your trash out. And as far as the district, I mean, the district code, districts are districts, they do it for multiple things.
Yeah,
You cannot tell. Like they said, I'm paying a water district that I don't use,
yeah.
but because I own the land,
Mhm,
I'm paying this, I'm paying what everybody else is paying.
mhm. Yeah, and it's brought to my attention by people that are snowbirds that, they're down south have refuse district payments. And they're only there for part of a year, so
So is the
they
town,
just absorb.
the town would be locked out of their
No,
district?
no, once you're in the district, you are in the district.
What I thought.
Yeah. Okay, so,
Any follow up on that, Jeff?
I think we're different because we're getting billed out per household. I don't know how the town's doing it. I thought the town was a voluntary situation.
Yeah.
no, you have to have you have neighborhoods define their geographic area. Then they petition, it's a petitioning process. They have to have a certain percentage of signatures to create the district. So even if people haven't signed on, but they're in the geographic area, they are part of that district. And I believe now they're up to almost 50 districts with more coming online. And quite successful.
I'll just say, I think it would be, to your point, Steve, challenging for someone who did not want to opt in. How do you otherwise get a trash hauler to give you a contract if you're the only home that's there?
No.
No, that's-
You can't use it. Trash.
Can't be.
Well, that's what, so what is the onus then?
You
is
put
on
your
you?
garbage in your car and you take it
You
to a
take it-
dump.
But how do we check on it?
That is what,
To confirm that they're doing it.
Become an enforcement nightmare for somebody saying we opt out, but I found somebody cheaper. Now I see.
see, it does open up other issues.
It opens up huge issues.
So I just want to reiterate, I don't think there's any issue. Somebody doesn't have trash on the sidewalk, somebody doesn't have trash on the sidewalk. We have residents who recycle so well, right, and use so little trash,
That would be.
which is an optimal, like,
It is our.
it's an optimal, like, approach to refuse and recycling, this person who has no trash. And we're essentially saying, hey, you have to pay whatever the rate is, but you work so hard to do something that's so good, right? In the same vein, we have some residents who share service because they produce so little. And so again, I'm just going the route of, is there a way to do this? Maybe it's not this year, but to the point of next year, I saw your concern about doing refunds and the like with taxes and that sort of thing. So if in creating the district, when we create the district, right now, we created a whole bunch of residential units and we were able to, with, for example, some multi-family dwellings that only had maybe 2 containers instead of 3, right? Not every resident was an individual home, right? We have some discussion as to how we counted the number of units at that location, right?
Yeah, no, I'm just going from what you're saying in terms of actual enforcement, because it is in the code that you have to have trash removed. Someone has to check on it, so,
So-
but it's later.
But this is, it's a fairly simple, no person shall accumulate or permit the accumulation of refuse on any premises owned, right? Every tenant. Refuse collector, in the village of Pittsford, right? So that is one of the challenges that the storage of refuse. I
So we
suppose.
have our attorney doing some research on this about opting out. Right now, we have already created a refuse district, and right now before us is whether or not to approve the budget.
So make a motion to approve the budget.
Second,
Okay,
I hear you.
Trustee Wilkes,
Aye.
trustee Limbeck.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
okay. Next up, village board meeting times.
Okay, I
Yeah.
will. Here.
And what research? Wow.
Well, thank you.
Wow.
So, what you'll see in the actual packet, I conducted a little bit of research, trying to go back and look at effectively 5 years of existing board meetings. So that meant going to our beautiful website and, checking effectively 197 separate board of trustee links for the, actual meeting packets, as well as the YouTube links. So this was covering the time period of March 17th, 2020 through April 8th of this year. So again, 96 regular meetings, 101 special meetings, 197 total meetings, to try and come to an understanding about, does it make sense for our board of trustee meetings to start at 5 p.m.? And, when obviously I'm a newly elected trustee, when I was on the campaign trail, a lot of residents came to me and said, look, this is great. I'm glad that you want to run for this, but I honestly have no idea what the board of trustees does because I can't attend these meetings. I work, again, I take my kids to school at 8 o'clock. I get out of work at 5:30. I have to then get, down the street because again, nobody's working from home anymore. All the companies that say you have to go back to the office. So I'm unable to come in, look my, elected officials in the eyes and say, hey, here's what's important to me, here's what matters. And in many cases, they wanted to. They, many people have felt very, invigorated about their local politics recently, and there has been an influx of working age residents and residents with young children who have moved here. So they are very excited to kind of get involved in their local government. So that being said, conducted this research. Pretty much what I found to only be kind of 96 regular meetings. You go back to 2020, 100% of the meetings were held at either 6 p.m. or 6:30. If you go to 2021, 100% of the meetings were held at 6:30 p.m. If you go to 2022, 95% of the meetings were held at 6:30 p.m. One meeting was held at 5:30. I don't know what happened that time, but we did. Now, once you get to 2023 and 24, that's where I noticed there was the shift. So 55% of the meetings were at 5:30, 45 were still at the old 6:30, which made me think there must have been a switch at some point in the school year. By 2024, the meetings have moved again from 5:30 down to 5. So when I looked at that, I said, okay, well, what is, as I'm looking over these again, 5 years post-COVID, 96 meetings, what are the percentages here? Have started on or after 5:30 p.m. 61% of the meetings have started on or after 6 p.m. And 6:30 p.m. So in all cases, the on or after 5:30 p.m. So next. I was like, okay, well, if we do move this, and if you're moving it back long, to look at every YouTube video to see the length of the actual recording, which was, it took a very long time.
Whoa,
And so.
now you're scaring me.
And I found that the average meeting length that we have, the minimum that we have, minute meeting. And I said, continue to try and further. So 2021 and 2022, the average was 2 hours and 28 minutes. For 2023 and 2024, the average was 2 hours and 52 minutes. So board meetings conducted in 23 and 24 were on average 24 minutes longer than those that were conducted in 21 and 22.
On average.
On average, yeah.
But did you see how much we got done?
I did. It was beautiful. It was great. I loved it.
But the real question is, could we have gotten it done in less time?
I don't know about that.
So that is one of the points. I was like, okay, let me think about that as well. So once I had all the data, I was able to drill into, okay, well, when did this actually change? So it looks like, for historical context, the change occurred on April 27th, or the motion was made on April 27th, 2023. Effectively, it looked like the change of meeting time was proposed by Trustee Code at the regular board meeting. The source on YouTube that prudent quote. So she said on Friday. I think personally, I did this with HPB. I think she was on the Historical Preservation Board
Yes, she was.
before this board. I switched our meetings to Monday at 5:30. I'm also trying to switch it to 5:30 from 6:30. I think it may be easier on the staff because the staff is kind of here until 4:35 and they can just stay instead of having to go home and find something to do and come back. I think that we don't have a typical 9 to 5 schedule anymore. I think by we, I think she means the residents. people work all different hours, so I don't think that we have to kind of think about banking hours and people need to go home and then do their thing. So I would like to propose that we move the board meetings from Thursdays at 6:30 to Tuesdays at 5:30 starting. When I changed it from 6:30 to 5:30 with HPB, I got a lot of comments from the public saying they liked it early. The other thing, as you know, these board meetings can go 3.5 hours. So bring it at 5:30. I think people are much more willing and able to have clear minds and talk and discuss when it goes until 9 instead of 10 PM, I think. I know a percentage of people get up early, so I just think that people are fresher earlier in the night, and you know that makes for a really long day. So I think the two major points, or three major points that she was making was, one, from a personal standpoint, she has a travel requirement I think she travels a lot on Thursday nights, and then over the weekend. So that's why the move is to Tuesday. The move earlier, I think she's saying because of post-COVID, the schedules are more flexible for people, which, I think it's changed.
We've received feedback otherwise.
For
You
that.
know, Dorothea's received letters and the board has seen them.
And then the other aspect was for the staff to allow, I guess, for you to just continue directly from work to this, and then that would be better. So that vote occurred. It was a 3 yes, 1 no.
I was the no.
You're the no, okay. Trustee Lampier was not there, so there was only 4 board members were able to vote, and it passed. So, wrapping up. I think we saw a resident spoke here, and I think we also received some emails from residents, and if you would, Dorothea, would you be able to?
Let's talk about the policy of that. Yeah, you talk
Okay.
about reading. We received emails. It's sorry, I just,
Yeah,
you can hit
yeah,
the
yeah.
pause button for 1 second. We received a number of emails, and I know the board has received all of the emails and the comments from some residents. With the opening that they all want their letter read into the record. Somehow the statement has become sort of part of our village culture. Anytime we receive any comments, and I'll have the clerk speak to this as well, any letters that come in or comments that come in are automatically on the record. They are part of this record. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Dorothea has the legal responsibility to making sure that it is part of the record as clerk
Yep.
to the village. So to read something into the record again publicly that's already in the record that every trustee has seen, I've heard it's kind of a waste of time. In other words, it slows our meetings down to do so because these comments are directed to us. We have received them. They already are part of the record. We thank every resident for chiming in. It's important that we all hear from you and respect your thoughts and opinions, but to keep reading them, it's a matter of public record. Anybody from the public who wants to come in and see these records, they're more than welcome to do so. Or access them even through Dorothea, so.
And I know the board, it's been a while, and someone can refresh me.
Yeah.
We decided that I would just note that, they were sent to the board. And if anything came in not timely for me to forward, I would read.
Yeah, that's when you do read something, and I think that, thank you for bringing that up, because.
Yeah, and in this case, Mayor, everything I've received, the
Yeah.
board has received, so I don't have anything to read.
Yeah, so when-
unless the board changes.
That's a good point, because when you do receive something where you know the board hasn't had an opportunity to see it, then you make it clear, so
Yeah.
the board is up to speed as well, and the public
Yeah,
too.
before I start the meeting, I make a last run, check the emails, to make
Sure.
sure. there's nothing.
Yeah, John.
And I think when we get an item like this, special import, we just make the comment that, we have received, numerous letters and emails, and they are part of the public record,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
just had to be
exactly,
part-
yeah, which we, I think, just did,
Yeah.
so. Yeah, no, good point though, but just to acknowledge that in fact we have received those messages as well, yeah.
Do they or do they not get included in the minutes at the time?
They get attached, they're in the file, and
They're in the file, but they don't make it to the final minutes, they get posted.
we have in the past done that, it really depends.
Yeah, I've seen it oscillate as well.
Yeah,
I thought there was a motion a long while ago allowing you, when I say a long while.
to attach them.
Couple of years.
Yeah, there was.
To simplify your minutes
Yeah.
to include not those things and not much of anything else, because you can go look at the file for the
Exactly.
information you want. Makes the minutes less cumbersome and more user friendly.
Yeah, I mean, I have lots of these files, but they're all dated, everything related to this meeting is in here.
Yeah, the public
Like
always
the
has
whole
access.
I can go back here.
Yeah.
I don't-
But the number of comments though received were really supportive, I believe, of what your research had said and the request to change the meeting time.
So I guess my question is, if there's a resident who wants to see that record, what's the process for them to do it?
They can call the office, they can issue a FOIL, and we're happy to
Yeah.
do it, or, you know, if I got time, I can pull my record and show them right then and there. Most times, if it's easy,
Yeah, we just
I
pull
So
it.
it's not, they can't go on the website and pull a PDF and see it?
No.
Okay, so what I will say is, to anyone who's listening into the record, that there were significant individuals that are, without a give account, maybe that's too much record, that were effectively saying the same thing, which is they noted how difficult it is to attend meetings, especially for individuals who work full-time. The public comment period is at the beginning of the meeting. We saw there was a resident who literally missed it. And I think, you know, we sit there for 10 seconds, and if no one's here, then we move to the next thing. So if you're not here at 5:03, you're out of luck, unless we allow you to talk. And then also many companies have ended their work from home flexibility. It's just not a thing. So when we have to commute and we all look outside and we see all the traffic, the pileups at Monroe, State, Maine, you're trying to come here, you might be stuck at that light for 10 minutes. Just trying to get over here to be able, you know, once you're off of work to do it. Again, the cohort of individuals here in the village, median age based on the US Census is 40.2 years old. That's working age. 56.7% of village residents are between 21 and 64. It's working age. That's the majority. There's clear precedent for later start dates. Every other village board starts at a later time. PZBA is at 6:30. The HPB, which I now realize was changed to 5:30 by trustee Coe, starts at 5:30, not 5 PM. And then also for New York open meetings laws, I know that there's no requirement for specific start times, but again, it can, you know, we want to reasonably accommodate the public. And so, you know, again, the 5 PM start time may unintentionally impact that. So with that being said, again, the board of trustees represents the residents. We should prioritize their accessibility when it's reasonable. So based off of that, I'd recommend that we do make a change from 5 PM to 6 PM. We maintain the Tuesday date. And by doing that, we're going to allow additional residents to participate in local government. It preserves the travel requirement of trustee code. I think it's a win-win for the village. So I'll stop there.
Thank you. You know, really well thought out. Appreciate the research as well. I support this. I always have supported this. I've always voted against changing the meetings to an earlier time because I do think it disenfranchises a segment of our community that are, you know, young families with kids, with other, you know, things going on. The reason why we changed our meetings to Thursday, just as a matter of for record, was really to support our staff because the meetings, there's a lot of moving parts. There are always all these last minute changes to the packet. The meetings are long. And if you have a meeting on a Tuesday and it ends very late, our staff has had, you know, 15-hour days. And then they have the whole rest of the week. So at least on a Thursday, everybody can regroup on a Friday, kind of reset and get ready for the Monday coming up. They can just, you know, recalibrate over the weekend. That was why it was changed to Thursdays. But I certainly think we should start definitely with a 6 o'clock time. I 100% support it. I don't think, you know, no harm, no foul. What, you know, if anything, it gives people, even if they don't come to the meetings all the time, they have the opportunity to do so when, you know, when they can. And I think that's important, you know, and of course they can always Zoom in as well, but they still have that opportunity to come in person. And I think that's important. Any other thoughts from the board?
John?
I I wasn't here for all of the, back and forth. How many people do we have on Zoom right now?
Right now, we have 6.
I've listened and I think, I'm not ready to vote on this tonight. I just think that, trustee Cove is quoted and mentioned quite a bit, and I think she should have an opportunity to, vote on this as well.
Okay. Thanks for that. Dave?
Yeah, I just referenced, I remember last week, maybe, or 2 weeks ago, when Mayor, or not Mayor, but trustee Cove, I was initially, she had asked if she could be in this conversation. I think 2 weeks is reasonable to wait to allow her to comment back and reflect. I understand your view. I think, a couple of things here. I don't think the meeting time changes the length. I think one of the things that changes the length is there's a lot of big items that we tackled over the last 2 years. Notably the long-term capital plan, changes and updates to the budget as well, as short-term rental. I can be a bit loquacious at times as well.
No,
Poor Dave, we always tease him.
So, yes, as far as meeting times being, correlated or causal or whatever to, when we start, I think that's probably not quite accurate. It's probably just what we tackled and the amount of things that we're trying to get done. As far as another quick comment, a lot of times I'm not one to talk behind the scenes with other trustees about legislation. I like to do it in public. But it also means that a lot of people get to, watch how the sausage is made, which makes for longer conversations sometimes and more challenging to watch and view. And particularly when you see that going through and you don't know the permutations of what came before, you just kind of jumping on a meeting. Many meetings end up being just motions. I don't think that's particularly useful in a small environment like this either. So it'd be my preference to continue to have the discussions that we've had. Potentially, we're going to get quicker as we move forward with each, session and understanding what we've accomplished, and maybe the rest is less, or maybe we have more special meetings. Point that I'm getting to is, I don't necessarily mind a 6 o'clock start, but I don't want to vote on it tonight. What I'd like to consider and have you think about between now and then is, can we do a workshop in advance to where when we get to the meeting at 6 o'clock, you're doing motions, right? So the public, when you come in and we have public discussion, public hearings, we can talk through that at 6 o'clock. But some of the items require a decent amount of work through that aren't motions. It's getting to the point where you might get to a motion. It may not be that week, it might be subsequent weeks, right? So workshops, we often have special meetings and workshops on things. And to have all of those be at 6 o'clock, it'd be nice to have them start earlier.
You're saying special meetings?
Well, so a workshop is effectively a special meeting, right?
Yeah.
Yes, workshop is.
I'm just talking about regular meetings.
Yeah, well,
Special meetings
no,
can be at
so-
any time.
Yeah, so the idea could be that you have a 5 to 5:30 start, right? You hammer out some of the discussion in advance that isn't leading to motions. Then you go into the public meeting, right, with the agenda items and the motions. You have public hearings and do all those things, but it takes some of the sausage making and pulls it forward rather than dumps it in the middle of all those motions and all those agenda items.
Dorothea, you've worked with other municipalities that have had different structures.
Yeah.
Maybe you can speak to some of this. I
Yeah.
think that'd be helpful.
Suggested this a long time. My recommendation to the board has always been, and I made this many years ago. When I worked at a previous municipality, we used to have once a month workshop meetings, and that's where you're saying making the sausage, that's what would happen. That would start earlier, get all that work. So by the time you get to the meetings, you're just moving everything along. You're not doing everything all in one meeting. So you have 2 meetings, you have 3 meetings a month, but your one's a work meeting. The other 2 are.
So the workshop is a separately scheduled meeting that the
Yes.
public knows. This is the one where we're going to make the sausage.
Right,
And the other meetings are really much more about the transaction of business.
yep, they're
For
just
the-
doing the
for the
business, you're doing your public
village.
hearings, your local law, you're working on it, you're doing it at the
Mhm.
workshop, then you get to the meeting, you're doing the public hearing, and then you're doing the adoption. There might be some late minute changes, yeah, that's always gonna be it.
But they're 3 shorter meetings, basically.
Yes,
It's really what
really,
happens.
the one takes the pressure off the other 2, is the point.
Huh.
So you don't end up with Our longest meeting, I think you probably found, was 5 hours. You don't end up with that. And that's what you don't want to do because you lose, as you said, the attention span.
They're just not as productive.
But if the board wanted to go to some kind of schedule like that, we can definitely look at that and I can bring a proposal for the next meeting.
I think it would be worth looking at.
So yeah, so I think going back to, I think that's, I understand where you're going with that and I fully, anything that can improve efficiency. I'm on board. I will say one last thing. I tried my best to not make this in any way about me. I'm only for residents, I'm focused on them. The board may have noticed.
Didn't take it at all. Believe me.
You may have noticed that today, when I came in, I had my 3-year-old with me. I had to sit him down with snacks and books and coloring things because I had to pick him up from school, bring him here by himself because my wife works.
Yeah.
She works in Bush Hills Basin until 5:15 every day. She works. She has to pick up our 6-month-old in Bush Hills Basin, come over here in traffic to pick up my son so that I can be there to support the residents. This is public. All of this is public. This is in no way any text. This is all public. What I'm saying are facts. If a trustee can make a motion to change meetings due to a personal travel schedule, I believe it makes sense that I can propose a change that impacts not me only, many residents, a vast majority of residents in this village who feel ostracized. So again, if we move this to the next meeting, we can. I'll bring this up. I will read everything once again. I will read it until the end of my term. Because I will have to bring my son every time to our meetings while I wait for my wife who works, who's a perfect microcosm of our village in the way that it's moving.
Yeah, and that's a, I mean, that's.
That's not going to change from 2 weeks from now. I understand that trustee Code does not agree with this change. We already know, that's a no vote. Fine. We don't need to wait 2 weeks to get that no vote.
So this is possibly a good opportunity to read, trustee COVID sent an email in and just said, hey, could we read it? And being a trustee, I think it's reasonable to do that in consideration.
So do we read those?
Well, it's interesting. We had this discussion today and, you know, I know, the policy is that she wanted it read during public comment. That was the request.
No.
And first of all, typically public comment is for our residents.
Mhm.
I don't know, maybe our, you know, as our attorney would want to weigh in on that. You know,
I could take it as my own.
I mean, we have all read
Right.
it. We have all received her comments in other meetings. She has made those comments when you know, before you came on the board, when I wanted to vote against it.
So.
I'm sure, what is this, where are we going with this?
Can I?
So, yeah,
It-
Jeff.
It sounds to me like we have 2 members who want to table this and 2 members who might want to move it forward.
Mhm.
I don't see a positive vote coming out of any motion to adopt, then why read it? But
So we're
this is
stuck
the
anyway.
reason why this is me trying to move to at
Okay.
least some reasonable next step that
Okay.
might better accommodate the next meeting, but also reflect on her comments in the meeting.
Well, she's at the next meeting. When won't she be making these comments again?
Well, I'll take it as my time. So this is, remember, these are comments from, trustee.
So can I
Coe.
read those emails after?
You can take it as your time.
We can bring it back to the board. The board can always make that determination.
Before we do
Yeah.
that, we have someone in the public that wishes to speak,
Oh.
so I don't want that lost.
Yeah, why don't before we,
Yeah, I don't mind.
why don't we pause and have a member from the public speak?
Going in good relation.
Mr. Goodman, you're allowed to speak.
And can you hear me?
Yes, hi, how are you?
91 South Main Street. just wanted to sort of echo trustee Wilkes, I very much appreciate the public service you all are doing and
Peter, you're cutting in and out. I don't know if it's your microphone.
is this better?
Yes.
I just wanted to sort of underline as a resident what trustee Wilkes was saying, that sort of two things. If we're trying to change the reputation of the village to be more open, I certainly think the changing to the 6 p.m. time is very much helpful with that, because I too have 3 children and I'm going to 3 schools and I have to listen through dinner to be able to attend these, but it's important to me to do that. So, I think if people are serious about continuing to sort of change the culture of the village to be more open, that this would be a key part of it. And second, I'm not sure why, sort of to trustee Wilkes' point, if there's I recognize people need to vote, but why wouldn't we want more participation from the residents? Why wouldn't we want more participation from people in the community? So it bothers me that there's people, looking to delay this without really a valid explanation that I can see. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you so much for your comments and for weighing in. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else, Dorothea? Mhm.
So I was just gonna offer response on the these are kinds of documents to just change the trustee meetings from 5 to 6 on Tuesday. Just as I happened to the live board meeting. Meetings are on Zoom, make for an interesting listening while driving home from work and dinner. Codes for most of us, synopsis of every board meeting on our trustee page within 20 provides a quick and easy way. Additional points of each meeting. There's full audio and videotaping of each meeting, which can be viewed at your convenience. As far as residents being able live Zoom, in-person, text, email, phone, snail mail, Facebook Messenger. And then this is the reason why I wanted to read this in. Please consider Tuesday at 5:30 to 6 agenda order minute approval, department reports, bill pay, any executive sessions or attorney-client sessions. 6 p.m. all other items. Continue to start all the things at 6 p.m. Allow for public comment anytime during the meeting. As somebody who starts their workday at 5 a.m., I'm more concerned about the end time than the start time. But I'm committed, but I'm committed to provide trustee service to the best of my ability in meetings that extend after 8 p.m. Makes for a very long workday. Maybe propose a timed agenda with an end time. So one of the things that I'm seeing here, and this is sort of that trying to figure out some common ground. I'm still a little uncomfortable voting today, given a request to not, but can we change next meeting to 5:30? Or could we change it to 5:45?
You
You can do whatever.
You're
Okay.
allowed to.
And I'm
Yeah.
saying that because I understand the difficulty, and I think it's very important for all residents to have the opportunity to be trustees and to not rule them out simply based on work schedules. And if we can all accommodate and also have it be more accommodated for residents, I think that makes sense. I did review the open meeting laws, and there's nothing in there that says anything about accommodate relative to time or anything like that. It just says, make sure you have a facility that's public, that people can be at, and it's big enough, and that it's open. So it isn't necessarily reflecting on time, but being a small community, it is better to have people here. I agree. And so if we do happen to get more people, and based on your scheduling, it is a challenge, I think we make some accommodations, and it could serve everybody.
I don't get why 6 o'clock is so bad.
Yeah.
I just don't I
haven't
so,
heard.
I haven't heard any single thing that is even remotely compelling. Now it's 5:45. What? 6 o'clock. It has been 6 o'clock for years, 6:30 for years in the past. This is about accessibility for everybody to be able to attend in person if they so desire. Yes,
including
we
your
have
house-
Zoom. Yes, we have videos that you can go back and watch, and we have trustees who post what happened in the meeting. If you want to attend in person and you are the neighbor who just spoke, who has 3 kids, who tries to Zoom in during dinner or at least listen, what if they want to come in person? They still cannot do it. I think we are focusing on a donut hole instead of the donut. 6 o'clock is a great time. I think it reflects best practices. We see this countywide for meetings. Go look at what other municipalities do. No one starts at 5 o'clock. No one starts at 5 because it disenfranchises a significant portion of your population. Because if they want to attend in person, they cannot. We are parsing this to death. I think we should change it to 6 o'clock. I can't believe that we can't even vote on this. This is, to me, the most common sense thing that we can do to include the greatest number of our residents to be able to participate in our government.
I'll say this, it really makes me feel bad that as one of those people, that my schedule and individuals who are like me do not seem to matter as much as the schedule of
Someone who travels on a long
who's
weekend.
not here.
I'm just making, I
So
don't
I'm-
know if
so-
you guys are talking to me or to Lisa here.
No, I'm
We're talking
talking
to-
across the board.
We're
of
talking
why
to
is-
everybody.
Why, and again, the question of the fact that Lisa's not here, okay, then yes, you know what, you read that, I'll read it again so everyone can hear it. These are Lisa Coe's comments, if she's here in principle, hear this. I'm sorry I cannot attend the trustee meeting on Tuesday, April 22nd, as I am still away on vacation with my family. I am asking that this be read aloud at the meeting, please. Discussion on 2 items. 1, organizational chart. Was there ever a conversation with longtime and current PBZA board chair Justin Belistra about not being reappointed? 2, meeting time change. Thank you, trustee Wilkes, for that comprehensive document to justify your desire to change the trustee meeting. Here are some comments from me. As I do agree, a 5 p.m. start time is tight for traditional 9 to 5 workers. There are many more ways than ever before to tap into the live board meeting. Meetings are all on Zoom and make for interesting listening while driving home from work or cooking dinner. That makes the assumption that I can drive and access my phone to unmute the phone, to make a comment, to adjust, to say, hey, I am here during public comment. I want to, that's not safe driving. 2, or cooking dinner. I'm not necessarily, I mean, I don't even know what that means. Trustee Coe's personal "What's the Buzz" synopsis of every board meeting on her trustee Facebook page within 24 hours provides for a quick and easy way to get general points of each meeting. 1, I'm not on Facebook. I know many millennials, Gen Z, who are not on Facebook. I also don't agree with Meta on a personal level. I'm not on Facebook. That is not a reasonable thing to say, sign up for Facebook to get 1 trustee out of 5. So that's not reasonable. There is also a full video and audio taping of each meeting, which can be viewed at your convenience. That means that's after the meeting has occurred. That is not during. The whole point is participating in the meeting, not watching it afterwards. As far as residents being able to provide comments, here are their options for comment, which can be done at any time. Live Zoom meetings from anywhere. Once again, if I am driving, I cannot do that. If I'm trying to pick up my son and I'm talking to his teacher at 5:15 and the teacher wants to give me an update about how he bruised his leg. And I'm saying, I can't talk to you right now because I need to get on this Zoom for this 5 p.m. meeting. Does not work. In person, what we just talked about, how that does not work if I cannot get here in person. Text. I don't know. Are we giving out our phone numbers to residents just to text us? Okay. Email. I agree, that is true. But then the problem becomes when residents want their information, I respect the fact that it's on the record. The problem is, as we all know, when someone's in person staring you in the face, it's different than receiving an email. It is different. Phone, okay. Snail mail. Facebook Messenger, bringing back to the Facebook point. Please consider Tuesday at 5:30 p.m., 5:30 to six PM agenda order, minute approval, department reports, bill pay, any executive sessions or attorney-client session. Six PM, all other items. Continue to start all public hearings at six PM. Allow for public comment at any time during the meeting. I do agree with that. As someone who starts their workday at 5 AM, I'm more concerned about the end time than the start time. My day starts at 2 AM some nights, 3 AM some nights,
Yeah,
5 AM some nights. I signed up for this. As far as I know, I'm one of the only trustees who campaigned actively with a child that was born at the start of the campaign. Okay? I signed up for that. I'm here for the residents. That does not matter. You sign up for this.
Mhm.
It is what it is. I know that our staff here, they're here. Had a long day.
yeah, Zach, when does your day start?
Depends on the season.
Yeah.
Sometimes 2 in the morning and sometimes 7.
Yep,
You signed
and,
up for
and,
that.
and then you're here, you know, once a month for meetings. So, long days.
5:30 every day,
Yep,
and I have a 45-minute drive. I have not.
Right.
You don't let me. You're shorting people by not having it at 6 o'clock. I do, and my meeting's at 7 that I come on.
but yeah, he's on a board in another
You're
community.
only talking 1 to 2 nights a month.
Yeah,
You're not talking every night here till 9 o'clock. And I, to be honest with you, I've seen the last bunch of meetings are a lot more efficient. They've been shorter.
yep, thank you. Appreciate the input.
I just want to finish reading this so we have all of her on the record.
Mhm.
I'm committed to provide trustee service to the best of my ability, and meetings that extend after 8 PM makes for a long workday. Maybe propose a timed agenda with an end time. I do agree. I don't understand why the meeting should be 3 hours. It shouldn't be. Now, that being said, I have still yet, now that the issue of we want to make sure trustee Coe's views have been heard, they've been heard. I don't understand why we've heard from the residents. You have a board of trustee member, your colleague, who is going to be actively impacted negatively by the existing precedent. And the precedent has said that these should start at 6:30. I'm saying 6 o'clock. I'm trying to be reasonable. I don't understand why we want to actively tell our residents who are watching that elected us that we don't care about.
That's not what anybody's saying.
I-
I mean, if you feel like that's what I'm saying, and that's what John's saying, you're misinterpreting.
You can project that, that may be projected. I'm just saying,
You're misinterpreting my opinion.
okay.
And I don't know if you're misinterpreting John. He's been relatively silent. Weeks to have this conversation with the full board from a member who specifically requested it. as
It was
such.
voted last time, on April 27, 2023, with 4 board members.
And the board member that was not there voiced support for
This is
it.
the voice of trustee.
Okay, so
You heard
here's,
that.
I make a motion to move the next PM. Do I have a second?
No.
hang on. There's a motion that we have to follow through on it, and then we can bring it back, okay?
Okay, trustee Lindbeck,
Aye.
trustee Wilkes,
Okay.
trustee Marshall.
I don't agree with the motion.
So then, no,
Is what, Jeff, do you wanna, he can abstain?
Abstention means that you are not able to vote on it because of lack of knowledge or some conflict.
No,
Okay.
Trustee Marshall,
Aye. Because I at least want to give you the advantage of coming in at 6, and then we can take care of it.
okay,
You know, at least that,
So-
at least want to get that, but I would like to
So-
have it 6 forever.
okay, well then I'd like to make a motion to change regular board meetings for the Board of Trustees to 6 PM on Tuesdays, as soon as possible. Do I have a second?
Second,
okay,
discussion.
discussion.
So I'm gonna vote no on this, but I want you to bring it back next meeting. The next meeting starts at 6, and I'm voting no, because again, out of discussion for all members that are participating, it's good for all of us to have a discussion on scheduling together. I agree with you in principle 100%. I'm comfortable with 6 o'clock, but out of respect for trustee Coe, bring it back next meeting. We don't have to go through the full discussion.
So no, I will reread all of this again.
Okay.
Okay. No, all right, yeah, John, any additional thoughts?
I agree. I don't think holding off 2 weeks is gonna kill us, and I think we should.
At
And
least,
just for the record, my day starts at 3:30.
yeah, that's right, it does, yeah, yeah. So, wow, okay,
I mean,
ooh,
we have a motion, I gotta do the vote.
yeah, no, I know that, but it's still discussion and the mayor
Okay,
might
I'm
wanna.
sorry.
The mayor may want to say something. So we do have the possibility of our meetings now going forward, starting at 6, because the next one we have agreed to, at least initially, to start at 6, we can bring it back to a vote. I must say, we're elected to serve the public, and when we're elected, we know, there's meetings and there's, and if you choose to go on vacation, you choose to go on vacation. I'm of the belief, no matter what, we're here to transact business, whether someone's on vacation or not. Whether it would be me on vacation or you or anyone else, we're here to transact business. Because they're on vacation, to me, is not a good enough excuse. We must move the business of our community forward. We have received input from the community. I'm a little surprised, but here we are. This is where we are. So, I just think, again, it creates the image that we can't even decide on changing a meeting to an hour later. We can't even do that because someone's on vacation. I think it sends a really bad message. End of discussion. Roll call, please.
Trustee Linda,
No,
trustee Marshall,
no.
trustee Wilkes,
Aye.
trustee Mayor Plummer,
Aye.
motion passed.
Motion. It's a tie.
It's failed.
Yeah, fail.
Can you put it on the agenda? And if,
Oh, it's on.
Yeah, well, I would like to put it back on the.
Yeah, it's, David has already said he wanted.
I just want to note that the next meeting is going to be back at church.
Yeah, that's right, because we have short-term rentals
That's,
and it'll be at 6. So, yeah, okay. Okay.
that's a public hearing at 6 o'clock.
No,
no,
It's just, we knew because of short-term rentals that we'd probably need a larger space,
Got it.
because remember last time the hearing was closed. We certainly can, at the board, make a decision to receive additional comments from the public. We can always do that. I would like to say also one thing before we just move on very quickly about, wanting to shorten up the meetings. Right now, we allow public comment freely. Every single item, public comment in the beginning, a lot going on, and we give people 3 minutes. So if you have, 6 people wanting to stand up, okay, now you're into it for 18 minutes. Then you have another agenda item and you have another 6 people. That actually lengthens our meetings quite a bit. It is not typical for municipalities to allow that unless it's something, really controversial where the board really does feel, and I know you've run so many meetings, John, you're there to transact business and to make sure that the board is deliberating in front of the public on an important matter. And then it's always discretionary whether or not, you feel that there's time to take those comments. And I would like the board to just rethink that and what that does mean. We do know for the next meeting, for example, the short-term rental, legislation, a lot of people really are interested in that. And so we may end up taking additional public comments and probably should because it's a big deal for our community. But there are other things where it just goes on and to what end, when we're here to try to, streamline things, move things along and facilitate business. So I just want the board to bear that in mind because we do give people 3 minutes. Maybe we make it 2. I don't know. And again, I think Trustee Coe brought up a number of means for the public to always communicate with us outside of a public meeting as well. There's email, there's, phone calls, there's, texting if they have your number, whatever. I have office hours always, so plenty of ways to do that. Anyway, I bring that back because that significantly lengthens meetings, yeah.
Is there still an open hearing on the short-term?
No,
rentals?
the hearing was closed, yeah.
Okay.
The hearing was closed, so that's why I was saying it would be at our discretion maybe,
Okay.
which I think it will, just because there'll be a big turnout.
There is no requirement to have public comment at all.
No, there never is to have any requirement.
Public hearing.
Yeah, that is the only time in the municipal law, Mike, right? Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, we like the public to weigh in, but you know, at some point, we are here to transact business and move things forward and move the agenda items forward. Okay, next up, the Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad signage. And I know this came up under the previous board, and I believe Jeff and Steve, you were to be looking at what was in our code, what was allowed. And this is, just as a reminder, this is a New York State Parks request.
Yes.
At this point to our village, but villages across New York State, they are designating sort of I guess, a trail recognizing the Underground Railroad and specifically Harriet Tubman. I think it's really kind of great. But I think there was question about the signage and whether or not,
Yeah.
you know, something
It's
like
in the
this.
public way, huh? There's no signage that we would permit in the public way. Right?
Well, historical signs out front, you would see at the center of the road, the yellow and blue ones.
The markers,
Those are ours. The yellow and blue ones are the states.
no,
No?
I think we petitioned for them.
yeah, exactly. You,
I know the
it
historian.
was through the
Well,
historian.
then we're not permitting it, somebody else. Right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Doesn't it say that we won't permit?
Will not approve any request for new off-premise outdoor advertising signs.
Well, it's not advertising.
Right.
I mean, you're not advertising anything. It's wayfinding, you know.
In the public way, I mean, we don't do that.
Pardon me?
In the public, we wouldn't do that in the public way. There's no advertising.
Well, this isn't advertising. The railroad, Underground Railroad is.
No.
I'm not sure where this is going.
In order to approve
Yeah,
this memo, you have to, as a municipality, agree that you will not approve any advertising
Oh.
signs in the public way,
which,
and we don't.
and we don't anyway.
Right.
Yeah,
But it doesn't say in the public way, it says along the designated byway route.
Right, and that would I interpret as being in a public way.
Okay,
yeah, that's why we had asked them to take a look at it. Yeah. Well, I think it's great.
So off-premise outdoor advertising. So again, I'm very favorable to figuring out if we can do this, just to put that out there. Similarly, I'm very favorable considering the 6 o'clock time frame, we'll figure that out in 2 weeks. But I do have questions. So the off-site signage. So it was said that that was the Department of Transportation's rule, and they consider off-site signage so along non-controlled access primary highways, right? Is that us? Outside of villages and cities, signs may not be closer to 300 feet. Within villages and cities, signs may not be closer than 100 feet from the next nearest off-premises sign. Special spacing requirements may be waived if the signs are separated by buildings or other obstructions. So my question is
These are not, we don't permit off-premises signs. You have to be occupying the property to get signage. Am I right about that? Pardon? It has to be your property to get signage.
Yeah.
So we don't allow off-premises signage. Off-site signage,
Okay,
which means that we are not in violation of this were to adopt.
so we could be good to go.
I think so.
I'm thinking that. That's my take.
That was my question.
Yeah, no, I know.
Have we seen an example of these or anything yet?
No, Dorothea has reached out to them, and she keeps checking. They were supposed to send sort of a sample, like a mock-up of what it would look like, but it's the New York State Parks and Recreation, you know, so they have those standard sort of shapes for their signs for wayfinding. I'm thinking, I don't think it's gonna be anything over the top, frankly.
Probably have to go to Monroe County Planning, just going along the highway.
Pardon me?
They'll have to go to Monroe County Planning.
Oh, they've contacted every single entity This isn't just us. I mean, this is,
Yeah.
All right.
you know, throughout the state.
Didn't the town already adopt it?
I think the town went ahead and adopted it. Yeah, Zach,
Where's the proposed location?
we asked as well.
90, doesn't it go
Monroe,
96 through?
Oh, yeah, no, it's our main arteries through.
Yeah.
They're state-owned roads. Yeah,
So
At the entrances coming into the villages where these would be posted, or just the same sign?
we don't have the map.
I don't think it's
We don't have the
saying,
map.
I don't think it's saying where anything's going to be. What it's saying is it supports the designation of it, which includes programs for stewardship and enhancement and guidance to manage future activities along the corridor. This sign thing is, the concern is we were going to be unable to approve, for example, on the side of Main Street, on the brick building where the bridal shop is, you know, the old washed out, old
Yeah, the
historical
Seneca
sign.
Hotel.
Yeah, imagine if somebody wanted to come in and redo that and it went before the HPP and the HPP said, sorry, we can't do it, there's a resolution in place, right? And so what Jeff is
Steve
saying,
would say it.
oh, sorry, Steve would say it, but what you're saying, Jeff, is Steve won't say that now. Because it doesn't apply,
So I'm
because it's
saying,
not offsite.
Yeah.
And I guess I would go one step further, which is to say, if we were to come across a challenge, this is a resolution, and by resolution, we could walk it back. Right, so it's not this forever change. I like it, you know, I think I'm okay with it at this point. 57 towns have passed it from what their website says. They need 116.
Yeah,
I guess, so we would get added to that list.
join the group.
As far as who has passed it, you'd ask the question. There was a link to that, though it'll take me just a second. If you're interested. So the town of Pittsford is not on the list. It isn't to say that they're not a resolution in process. It does not say yes to that either. But it may just be that the website has not been updated. But there are multiple villages that have passed this, being Albion, Aurora, Canajoharie, Castleton, Key, Fayetteville, Fort Plain, and others.
my question's answered. I'm okay.
Okay, so then, shall we?
Okay.
Yeah, motion, please.
I'll make a motion that we permit the mayor to sign the
Resolution.
resolution.
I think it's an adoption of the
We're
resolution.
adopting it?
The resolution for the Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad, New York Scenic Byway nomination and Corridor Management Plan adoption.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Trustee Wilkes.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Linda.
Hi,
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. Next up, reserve funding. This is a big moment. This is great. Thank you so much, Jeff, for really pulling this together.
You guys did the work.
Well, and everybody, thanks to everybody, all the input, and Dorothea as well.
I've been working on this, I think, for 10 years.
Yeah,
Oh, it started with Tim Gallon.
yeah, it did. I know. I've spoken with him about it.
I do have a quick comment. I reviewed the numbers.
Oh, yeah.
This is my question to you.
Ask me questions about the numbers.
Well, I have to.
Okay.
You asked me about the question of the transfer of the old reserve. The problem I have, and if we can put plus or minus, because it's earning interest in the current.
Right, and I thought I allowed for that when I said specific amounts from the first.
Oh, you got contains approximately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I said, I used up the funds that had to go for capital, the
Right.
capital funds
Right.
from the funds that were improperly constituted. I thought that the language from which I drew down the last of the improperly constituted funds said, all of that plus whatever is necessary to equal the number we're shooting for from the unreserved funds in, whether it was the general fund or the sewer fund.
I'm good with that.
So it factors it in.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that,
The
so
language
I
factors it in.
think this gives you, this uses up all the old improperly constituted
God.
funds. And then just takes what it needs from
I'm gonna use this.
general sewer to satisfy.
Gotcha.
Okay,
I just wanted to make,
that's how I try to accommodate the interest.
thank you. That was my concern. I didn't want any leftover money anywhere.
Yep, we want to account for every penny. Any other just questions on this? And also, would we read through the entire resolution each time to do this?
Not read through it, certainly.
Okay, so we
You
can,
could say adopt the resolution to fund.
Just up at the top.
okay, just.
Yeah, one.
We're gonna make a motion.
Yeah.
Okay,
You don't want to read the whole
okay, we were just kind of
thing.
wondering.
Written.
Okay, okay, okay,
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the resolution, whatever number of 2025. Resolution funding the Equipment and Vehicle Repair Reserve Fund, GF1 of the General Fund.
we have a second vote, roll call, please.
Okay, trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Trustee Wilkes?
Aye.
Trustee Limbeck?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes.
I'll make a motion for resolution to be determined of 2025, funding the Equipment and Vehicle Repair Reserve Fund, SF1 of the Sewer Fund.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Limbeck?
Aye.
Trustee Wilkes?
Aye.
Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution whatever of 2025, funding the Equipment and Vehicle Reserve Fund, GF2 of the General Fund.
Second. Policy.
Trustee Wilkes?
Aye.
Trustee Limbeck?
Aye.
Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
You want me to keep going?
Oh, you're on a roll.
Okay.
Resolution to be determined of 2025, funding the Equipment and Vehicle Reserve Fund, SF2 of the Sewer Fund.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Trustee Limbeck?
Aye.
Trustee Wilkes?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Resolution to be determined of 2025, funding the Infrastructure Repair Reserve Fund, GF3 of the General Fund.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Limbeck?
Aye.
Trustee Wilkes?
Aye.
Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Resolution to be determined of 2025, funding the Infrastructure Repair Reserve Fund, SF3 of the Sewer Fund.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Wilkes?
Aye.
Trustee Limbeck?
Aye.
Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Motion to pass resolution to be determined of 2025, funding the Infrastructure Reserve Fund, GF4 of the General Fund.
Okay.
Roll call.
Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Trustee Limbeck?
Aye.
Trustee Wilkes?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Make a motion for resolution to be determined of 2025, funding the Building Repair Reserve Fund, SF4 of the Sewer Fund.
Second.
Trustee Limbeck?
Aye.
Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Trustee Wilkes?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Make a motion for resolution to be determined of 2025, funding the Building Repair Reserve Fund, GF5 of the General Fund.
Second.
Trustee Wilkes?
Aye.
Trustee Limbeck?
Aye.
Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Make a motion for resolution to be determined of 2025, funding the Building Replacement Improvement and Alteration Reserve Fund, SF5 of the Sewer Fund.
Roll call. Sorry.
Got my initials screwed up. Okay, trustee Limbeck,
Aye.
trustee Wilkes,
Aye.
trustee Marshall,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Aye.
motion passes.
And finally, a motion for resolution to be determined of 2025, funding the Building Replacement Improvement and Alteration Reserve Fund, GF6 of the General Fund.
Roll call.
Trustee Wilkes,
Aye.
trustee Limbeck,
Aye.
trustee Marshall,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay.
Just made the controller's office very happy.
Oh, my gosh. And all of us, this is great. We've been able to repurpose almost over $400,000 of taxpayer funds going back to 1974.
Oh.
Yeah, and
Unusable
As-
funds.
absolutely unusable, inaccessible because of the language. This is a big moment for our village. Thank you,
David,
everybody.
you and I get credit and we didn't do anything to do.
Hey, but you look beautiful.
I'm
Okay,
just gonna make a quick comment. I have certain things in CDs right now. When the CDs come up, which should be before year end, I will straighten out the accounts. I'll transfer all the monies into the proper reserves.
yeah. Okay, okay.
Just that way I have the current value.
She's on the case. All right. Let's see, department reports. Treasurer?
It's me, but I'm gonna start with my wonderful co-part here, the superintendent of public works, because he has a concern and it's an emergency issue
Okay,
that needs to be resolved.
well, let's hear from Zach.
A couple weeks ago, it was brought to our attention that a section of sewer that has been problematic in the past was showing signs of problems again. So we went out and inspected and found that there were root clusters growing inside the pipe that had been root cut maybe 2.5 years ago or so.
And can you give us sort of the general location of where that
So
is?
the intersection of Rand and East Jefferson.
You know where it is?
Yeah, I smell
Yeah,
So, the whole area has been kind of problematic, so we, asked for some assistance from the town for their camera and flushing, and they came out and we did a video inspection of it and found in all directions, on both sides of Jefferson, that there were root matches, going to be 60 to 70%, of the blockage of the entire pipe. It's an 8-inch pipe. So, at that point, basically, we're waiting for something to happen. That could be in the form of somebody flushing something that shouldn't have been flushed in the first place. It doesn't break down, gets stuck on its roots and backing the entire system up. So we're kind of outside of just what we first were put on notice for and went and inspected. Now that we have a visual of that entire system, there are problems throughout. So I asked Scanex who is a company that offers pipe lining, and we used to have a contract with them, but to provide a quote for the lining of that system, and that is a process of them coming out with a camera, a cutter, which will grind roots away, and then cleaning the pipe, and then running a sock through the pipe, impregnating it with an epoxy resin that hardens over time and basically creates a new pipe within the pipe. Blocking off all of these joints every 3 feet, which would prohibit the growth of roots into the system.
the roots invade the joints.
Tree roots are constantly looking for water.
Yeah.
And they will snip it out through
Mhm.
a tiny little gap in the pipe. The village's sewer is, it's made up by vitrified clay tile pipe, basically terracotta, that's all formed together and joints every 3 feet.
Hundreds of years old.
Lots of trees. And lots of old trees, which.
Yeah.
They start to root pretty deep and they find these joints and then you go into it. So, this is basically a liner that would go from manhole to manhole, blocking off all of those joints and prohibiting the growth of.
So it stabilizes the pipe to line it in the interior, stabilizes it and prevents further root intrusion? Okay, just so we're all understanding what the process sort of.
So while the sewer isn't bubbling over currently because we spent a lot of time in the last 2 weeks going through with our nozzle, flushing it out, the town's nozzle, flushing it out and cammering it. But the problem still exists. So we do have some free flowing sewage going through the pipe, but at any point, this problem could get a lot worse.
So where are we going with this?
So
What
what
would
I'm
you like?
looking at was initially 1,806 linear feet of 8-inch pipe lined.
Mhm.
And this is based off of the contract pricing that we had for 2023 at $42 a linear foot. And I forgot to add all this up for you guys, but between that and
Dorothea's adding right now.
thank you. Reestablishing the
60 grand.
$75,852.
Yeah, that's what we thought it was.
And there are 24 lateral connections to, and that's all the service connections from each home throughout there has one single connection to the sewer main. Each one of these would have to be ground back open, so there are 24 of them at $250 a piece.
So that's in addition to the 75,000. So 24 at 250 right here. Okay. Mhm.
So it's another
So
6.
6.5, yeah. Okay. So it's like 82 grand.
A lot of money.
Well,
Is it because we have to open up laterals once the pipe goes through?
Correct, so it's a solid set that runs through and those lateral service connections need to be reopened.
Right, because normally we would not be responsible for laterals, but because we're causing the problem.
Yeah, but we're gonna be blocking their lateral.
Right.
but the other thing is too, if those sewers get blocked with the tree roots, they can come back on us.
Right.
And they have backups in there. So
Right.
I reviewed this with Zach today, and this is state of the art. And,
Mhm.
you know, the emergency section is about 300 feet right at that intersection, but you could logically argue that the whole system is suspect, and there's an economy of scale if we do the whole 1,800 feet now, as opposed to piecemealing it
Piecemeal.
along the way.
Okay.
And we do have another company, is it Kendall? What's
And pipe.
Kenyans? They are $38 a foot, but if you look in here, the inclusions that Zach offered, those 4 items aren't provided by Kenyon and their per foot cost. The other good feature is that Scanex will be on the hook with each one of the individual owners if there's any blockage because of that sock not being drilled for their lateral. So there's a lot of benefit to doing the whole job right now. And just now it's done and we've got another 20 years out of it. Because not only do the joints leak, but that vitreous tile is suspect. And just the weight of the roots, they can push through that. So it's a good fix.
And it's a long-term fix.
It's
We're looking at it over a
Yeah.
20-year
Right.
period, really. You know, it's an upfront cost is what I'm hearing. And also that if my takeaway is, correct me if I'm wrong, John, then Scanex is actually sort of an all-inclusive kind of price.
Yes.
And then the other one is sort of cost plus.
Mhm.
Okay, just
Right.
so,
And the other thing that you look at is you could do the initial 300 feet, but you're taking a chance of disturbing that pipe
Oh.
enough that you could create. With the old system like that, you could create some more problems. Now, the one thing I don't understand well enough is Zach and Dorothea said there's money available to do this. I just don't know which fund
Mhm.
it is right now because I'm not that familiar with
Yeah.
the sewer budget. But along with that, the village's contract with Scanex expired in 23, and I would suggest that we might have to go out to bid again. There's only 2 companies that do this, Kenyon and Scanex, so we can't get 3. But we should really reestablish another contract for the DPW
Yeah, we
so
talked.
that Zach's got that available going forward.
we also have a policy that we do not necessarily have to go with the lowest bidder, that we look comprehensively at what the service offers.
Scott and I talked about that issue. And I don't know that we really have to go back out to bid because we're still taking it off the state or county contract.
Okay.
Oh,
And so I think it's just a matter of getting a new contract with Scanex. The other issue with the other company is you might not get the work done for another year and a half. There's a pretty big delay. Scanex is right here and can do the work.
Yeah, they're out of Victor.
more responsive.
And they have a relationship with the village.
They really know the village. They've done a lot of work here.
It's pretty specialized work. and
Yeah.
Obviously, not everybody does because they're electric companies.
And I have to say, it's pretty cool when you see them do the pipelining. Just kind of a nerd here about it.
It is,
It is amazing.
I just don't know what fund to make a resolution from.
Working on it.
She,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
Never mind.
yeah.
Sorry, Zach, I didn't mean to take your thunder.
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
It's-
Yeah,
honestly,
it's,
Affects everyone.
well, and, yeah, go ahead, if
But
everybody.
yeah,
more
I was just
comments,
gonna
please.
say, it certainly affects me
Yeah, you're smelling it every day.
every day.
Okay, my
Really?
suggestion to the board.
Wow.
Okay, sewer fund has a healthy fund balance even with the changes we made tonight.
Mhm.
We already have 35,000 in sanitary sewers for CIPP sewer lining. I assume that's this line.
That's right now in our budget,
Correct.
just so everybody understands.
And if I may on that, that was suggesting we were gonna spend about 35 grand every year and just roll through the whole entire village and get this done.
Right.
How many years would it take to get it done? At that rate?
Well, so this is, I can't say for certain. I mean, it kind of depends on their willingness to continue on with that $42 per linear.
What's the length of our line, total sewer lines?
9.5 miles.
So we're doing 1,800 feet.
Right.
And it's 9.5
Yeah.
miles.
That's some good math.
I can,
My brain will explode.
Well,
Yeah, right, so I'm going a third of a mile, so 27 years,
Some pipes have already been done.
and some pipes have been done.
yes,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
You know, and to, not all of the pipes need them, you know, just
That's true.
areas where there are older growth trees that start to grow
Okay.
deeper and deeper.
it's the combination of the old growth canopy trees with old, really old infrastructure.
Yeah.
That's really what's.
Okay.
driving
And we
it.
are getting the $42 price based on the 1,800 square feet. If we cut that down,
Yeah.
that per foot cost is gonna
Yeah.
go up exponentially.
So what I would suggest, can we just spend the 35 that we have aligned and then take another 35 out of the sewer fund?
my suggestion, we had this in the last two budgets. It was budgeted at 100 grand every year to try to get some of this caught up.
Mhm.
We did not spend those funds and went back into the fund balance for sewer.
Mhm.
So my suggestion is take 35, anticipate you're going to go into your fund balance. We already planned to go into
Mhm.
fund balance this year anyway.
Mhm.
Just make a motion to the additional funds to come from. the
To
fund
transfer it,
balance.
okay.
Okay.
And if the year end, I'm able not to take it and transfer from line items that didn't get used,
Right.
it would be less on the fund balance. So.
But
just
it covers us
anticipate.
for now.
Yeah, it would cover it.
So it'd be from the sewer fund and the sewer fund balance?
Yeah, we would be spending the line item associated, which will put it into the negative and understand it's gonna stay negative until I get to towards the end. Yeah, and then we would take whatever is remaining that went negative out of fund balance.
So do we have the total with the 24,250?
If I did my math right, $81,852.
81,850.
Mhm.
So based on that, I'll make a motion to spend out of the sewer fund balance $81,852 to line approximately 1,806 lineal feet of 8-inch pipe on Rand Place as described by the DPW superintendent.
We're not taking anything from the line.
You'll pay, you have a line, you can take from there. If you need to.
The motion was sewer fund balance.
So
Yeah, it should be
To use
35,000.
Yeah, it should be 35,000. that's all I'm saying.
no, that's fine.
35,000 from the line.
From
and
the-
whatever
from the budget
additional
line.
money From the fund balance.
With the
is needed.
remaining to be made up from the, just so it's a little more clear.
So I'll amend my motion to take 35,000 from the budget line and any remaining balance out of the fund balance.
And we should note this is an emergency repair.
Due to the
So
fact,
noted.
yeah, due to the fact, okay,
Second,
all right.
Okay, trustee Lindbeck,
Aye.
trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Wilkes.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Hi,
Motion passes.
we're gonna have a
As for
sweet ending over
the
there.
Contract.
Horrible.
As for going forward with establishing the contract.
Up to them and say, we'd like to sign up for another contract.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Have them send something over and we'll look at it.
Is there a benefit?
I don't know if they've got it. No,
Depends on
this
the year.
page says it was under the 2023 budget. So I don't think it will. We'll send it to
I don't think so,
No.
yeah. Okay,
you.
yeah,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
I think there was a question.
Oh, yep.
Question regarding re-engaging with Scanex and asking them about a future contract. Do you think that you would get any pricing support in their response if we were to agree to some persistency of that over some number of years? Or do you think that they're just gonna come back with something similar to what we have here? And then, you know, we sign up for another 1 year at a time, or is it a 3-year? Like, what's the term that we sign up for?
I think we did a 2-year before with the ability to renew after that 2 years. After Scanex reviewed the pricing that we had set. We brought it back to the board and the board approved it, but we can really, you know.
Where are we
term
with
we want.
that 2 years?
We're expired.
We're expired. It's a renewal, but
For the extension?
Yeah.
Yes.
2023 is when it.
but they're giving us those same prices from
Right.
back
Yeah,
then.
right.
So, that's a good question. I can ask them, if we have so much budgeted for this process every year, if they would be willing to work with us on pricing, because a lot of our pipes are a certain diameter, and if they're able to purchase, because they won't purchase the material that creates the pipe until a PO is issued, because that'd be something that just be sitting.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, so they won't necessarily want to.
no, it's only on
Yeah,
demand.
okay. Well, just see what they say.
Yeah,
I was just-
it's worth a shot.
I'm still confused. If we have a 2-year contract that starts in 23,
And
It ended.
it expired, so the renewal expired in 23.
oh, so with the contract is in 19.
Yes, I believe that's what it started.
So-
I'm confused.
So I guess my question to the board, not my request, does the board want to see the Scanex, the bid to go out for these services to be redone?
Jeff is saying that he doesn't think we need.
Yeah,
to.
yeah,
It's off the county contractor.
No, it's not a county contract.
That's what I was told.
Kenyon is county contract. A different,
Scott told me that this was off of some contract, county. was-
I guess the basis of comparison would be the county contract if we needed it. Because those those,
What's the difference between basis of comparison and off the county contract?
well, the county
Also,
contract
there's
is the
limited
other
numbers.
business that does the pipeline.
Oh,
So,
I thought it was price, not.
yeah, I mean, putting that out to bid, all we would really have to do is use the county contract as a basis of comparison against this other company.
because they're limited vendors.
Right.
There's
I
two.
mean, as far as we know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And my question is still the same. Do we want to put it back up to bid?
And on top of that, do we want to also allow the clause in there for the town to be able to piggyback off of our contract price?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that was. my-
So would the board like this to come back to the next meeting?
Yeah, but can we just make?
I mean, I guess as long as we get this work done.
Can we get this work done?
We can get this work done.
Yeah.
This work is being done.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's move it
This
forward.
one's an emergency situation. They're honoring the previous thing. We're good to go on that. The next thing, if we have the opportunity, we should put it back out to bid and get.
I agree.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
Should put it
100%.
up.
100%.
Right.
Move on the town.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you.
yeah. Is there anything else for us that,
Just an employee matter. It's-
okay, good, that's gonna be an executive session, I can, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
You good? Okay,
Good with me?
I think we can release you to the universe.
One. Darn.
Thanks so much, Steve. All right, have a good evening.
It's personal. No one wants to stay from my report?
I'm here.
No, we cannot wait. This is the highlight.
It is the highlight. I give the quickest report. Okay, bill pay. You had an amended bill pay you received yesterday. We amended it because it's 3 weeks before our next meeting. We don't like to fall behind.
Yeah.
So there was an addition, I believe it was healthcare was the big add-in, so Is there any questions or concerns on the article? Okay.
No.
Can I have approval to pay bills, please?
Is there a motion, please?
I make a motion to approve the bill pay as noted.
Second.
Okay, trustee Marshall,
Aye.
trustee Wills,
Aye.
trustee Linda,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes. Now we have our March financials.
Yep.
Things are starting to get a little interesting. I'm gonna need some budget transfers.
Mhm.
Overall, things are looking fine. I'm not too concerned. As long as we don't have any more sewer lines going crazy. I point out, I keep saying the interest looks great because
Yeah,
I love the revenue line.
Yeah.
Our ARPA is coming up for the use. We've been pulling that money in because it, would be expense. The general lines, we had a few things that went negative that I do need budget transfers. They're related to utilities. And this is gonna have to be a shifting. And then the shared services with this town school, and that's the crossing guard, I think.
oh, that's right. It's the crossing guard down at Sutherland and Monroe.
And it's funny because I had
Yeah.
initially budgeted more into the GIS, but it actually is coming out of the crossing guard. I
Yeah.
don't have any need to move that around to make that correct.
Got you.
So,
So we need that transfer.
correct. You are seeing the negative lines with the ARPA, that's planned negative
Mhm.
lines, just. I'll cover them when we get to year end, but we wanted them negative because they're planned, but they weren't planned with the budget.
Kind of like a separate account.
Yep, street cleaning went over, which is good. We're spending more time street cleaning than we were plowing. So again, that's typical transfers we do with the labor, just to understand for the new trustees. Me and Zach, we have an overall formula from every year to see if I can guess what they're gonna spend. And if I'm lucky, I get close. But
Mhm.
sometimes that does go negative, and those are the key negatives. Is there any concern with anything I just reviewed for the general sewer? Again, there's a minor negative, and I don't think I covered it in my transfers right now because
Mhm.
it's just minor. I think it's in the air. and I'm trying to
Okay,
fix
just
it.
sort it. Okay. Is
Yeah,
there a motion for the transfer?
well, to approve the financials.
Approve the financials and then the, yeah.
For general and sewer, and
Yep.
then approve the
And then-
budget transfers as I provided for the board. unless there's any
Motion to, is
questions.
there a motion to approve?
Oh,
We had a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Okay, trustee Wills,
Aye.
trustee Marshall,
Aye.
trustee Linda, Mayor Plummer,
Aye.
motion passes.
Okay.
Understand, I try to give you your financials as soon as I get the bank statements in and I can get to the record.
Thanks again, Jeff.
And I should be getting April soon, so we'll be getting it to you next. The next request is, I have two new trustees who would like to attend the NICOM annual meeting. I need approval for them to attend. I will let them each make their request. I just wanted to get it on here. I know trustee Lindeck, you're looking to attend the full conference.
Mhm.
And trustee Wilks, you were looking for one day.
Correct.
Okay.
So this would be the cost of the overnight hotel, also as well as mileage and any other expenses associated with the
Conference fees.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the conference fees, it could be around $1,000 each.
Is
General
it-
area.
is it appropriate for me to make a motion to send me to school?
No,
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 this
it's
is-
training.
this is
The
all
only
good, it's
thing is
training.
this will
Great.
be, we're gonna need a budget transfer to cover it because and this is something we're gonna have to look because honestly, training is awesome. It needs to be done.
It's really good.
We have never budgeted much for the trustees for training, and I think that needs to change because. And then, but I need to transfer some money in there, and I'm not quite sure where to take it from at this moment, so I'm gonna let it go negative until I can.
Okay.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
The last couple of years, this notification comes like a month before, my calendar's like chock full by the time I even hear about it.
Mhm.
Do we know when this is gonna be next year already? Like, when
What I
when
can-
did they announce this?
Maybe we can ask,
They do post the tentative agendas out for the timeframes for training, and I can get that to the board as soon as I see.
Yeah.
You start to
That
see
way-
those tentative dates, because by the time the officials come out, it's usually within a month.
It's true, it's tight.
Yeah,
I
it
agree
just
with
came
you.
out last week.
I know, I
It's
agree,
just-
it's tight, it's tight.
I can spell. School you can go to, which I know
Yeah.
Zach would love.
I know,
Yeah.
Because just at the end of, Halloween, so.
Yeah.
Right. I've done some stuff through the county on occasion, right, the dial-ins, and they do a nice job.
yeah,
But, yeah, it's neat. So I guess when you see the tentatives, if you could.
I can send out what tentatives I know right now are out there.
No, and NICOM also has just a great sort of catalog of online seminars.
Yep.
You know, that we can always access as needed, if there's a specific topic. And a lot of really great white papers that we can access as well.
Yeah, and the comptrollers also have different
Yeah.
trainings they offer as well.
Yep,
Okay, so this will be on this year's budget.
This will be out of this year's because it's in May.
yeah,
It's at the tin.
I'll make a motion to approve the costs associated with going to the NICOM annual meeting for the two trustees.
I'll second.
Okay, trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Wilkes.
Aye.
Trustee Linda.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye,
Motion passes.
all right, we're going to NICOM.
And I believe Mary's going this one. That's good.
Mhm.
And then, yes,
Road trip.
he's bringing them in.
Okay, anything else, clerk's report? Anything?
No, really.
We're just cruising along.
You just
Okay.
bring them.
All righty, then I make a motion that we go into an executive session for the purpose of discussing an employee matter. Oh, wait, let's do member items first, then we can just come out and adjourn. Thank you so much. Yeah, let's do member items first. That way we kind of have everything done publicly.
Okay.
Any, John? do you have
Yes,
some member items?
well, I
Yeah?
received an email from trustee Cole, and this might be Zach, I don't know, down on the south wall of the new Collier's Cafe along Lincoln, there are two signs up on the building that loading zone, 15-minute parking, and I guess people are parking there for the cafe. And I guess it's goofing up, turning in and out of Lincoln Avenue, so,
Yeah.
you know, if that's something.
It's kind of outside of my realm.
Yeah, I don't know who takes. care
I know
of the
Mikey's
sign.
brought that to our attention,
We've talked about it.
and we may want to bring something back to the board, probably not the next meeting, but the following meeting, just because the next meeting is going to be pretty big. Because you also had some thoughts about what parking could look like there or not, depending on the flow of traffic. And I think that's an opportunity maybe for us, you know, I know you and Mikey have been talking about it, and Steve as well, I know is waiting, he's already left. I
Yeah,
think.
I'm not sure who to direct. it
Yeah,
to.
yeah, well, no, you
Yeah.
just directed it, so. it's all
But
good.
that's all I've got.
No, that's
Okay.
good, no, and that's important, because they're
I know
hopping down there.
He's been in contact with the owners, who
Yeah.
really, that's what that parking is meant for, is for loading and unloading.
Yeah, I know they had it for the florist, and I don't know if these guys have the same need or not.
Well,
So
they-
he was
they
trying to
do
work out a
it, yeah.
situation where just the owners, you know, he'd be able to identify just the owner's vehicles, so anybody else who would, you know, try to, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for now anyway,
Enforcement.
because there may be some other ways for us to look at that and what the impact is. Yeah, because it's activated differently than a florist for sure. Thank you for that.
Yep, that's all I have.
Okay, great. Any other member items? David?
We'll pass today.
No. Okay. I'm good. All right, now, I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting for the purpose, go into an executive session to discuss an employee matter.
I'll second.
We have a second, roll call.
Trustee Linda.
Aye.
Trustee Wilkes.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, let's hit the pause, please.
Video.
You're at responsibility.
We're good. I make a motion to leave executive session.
Second.
I make a motion to reopen the meeting. Oh, no, we have to vote. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Oh.
You can combine them.
Okay, it's a twofer.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're fine.
And to reopen the meeting. Roll call, please.
Trustee Limbeck,
Aye.
trustee Wilkes,
Aye.
trustee Marshall,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I make a motion to offer Race Malone the position of MEO at the rate of 2250, conditional 2450, conditional upon a background check reference on physical and drug test.
Second.
Wait, start date.
Oh,
I think immediately, we're shooting for.
Earliest start date.
earliest start, at the earliest start date possible.
At the earliest start date.
Okay. We have a second as well, so roll call.
Okay, trustee Marshall,
Aye.
trustee Limbeck,
Aye.
trustee Wilkes,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Trustee
Yes.
Limbeck,
Aye.
trustee Wilkes,
Aye.
trustee Marshall,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Great.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Ed.